Welcome to Overheard and UniSFA. One, 3, 2,
7,
3,
8,
1.
3.
Hi, welcome to Podcast 2, the sequel to John's joke.
Hi, and welcome to Men at Work 2. I mean the UniSFA podcast.
You mean Overheard and UniSFA?
Fuck.
Oh, lads. So for context, for those of you at home or on the bus, we had a guest lined up today, and he's my good and wonderful friend David.
I'm John.
That's John. And my good and wonderful friend Dave, who was going to be on
He's here.
today. He's here.
He's
no.
here with the correct
I'm
voice.
here with
Dave.
my co-host, Cam.
Oh yeah, that's me. Hi.
And our guest for this week, Merlin.
Our comorbidity.
Your pre-existing condition, Merlin.
I'm freaking out. You can't wrench my podcast from me.
I'm so
Ripped it
sorry.
From your clammy little hands, John.
I hit you with your own bit.
You can't...
Hit me with my own bit.
You alright, man? I'm sorry.
I'm fine. Okay, we've got a podcast to record. How's everyone's week been?
No, it's pretty good.
I've been playing a lot of CK2,
Crusader Kings 2.
Crusader Kings 2.
The second Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
The one that came after Crusader Kings 1?
Yeah, they did a crusade to the Holy Land so good, they decided to do it again.
That happened in real life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by Paradox Studios.
I can't believe
Yeah,
Paradox
they-
Studios
they
decided
did the
to
real
crusade the
Crusades as
Holy
well.
Lands again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Paradox Studios, what the fuck?
Paradox Studios has strong opinions about Christendom. Or at
Paradox
7.
Studios make so many historical reenactment games because they made the history, so they
Yeah,
know
like
exactly what...
Stellaris.
Yeah, like Stellaris, right? Stellaris is just like... Well, Paradox Studios did all those things, and then they made a video game about it, and now they've made a video game where you do things, and then Paradox will do them later.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Well, Stellaris is historic.
It's like some kind of paradox.
yeah, we're putting down the railroads so that Stellaris and Paradox Studios Interactive can run their little train along them later.
Yeah. That Stellaris is actually just it's like a complex simulation where it's playing it's using the players to play through all the possible simulations of humanity's future to find the best one and the optimal scenario.
Holy shit, what if we're in a Stellaris game right now?
What if we're in a Stellaris game right now? I think our
I'm
players
causing Unity penalty.
Wow.
I think our players are a bit shit. We have not even got off the first planet yet.
Players
right?
is a bit shit.
Do not talk about that mockumentary about League of Legends professional players here.
Oh, I just meant
Do
players.
not diss it.
Yeah. How is your write-up of League of Legends drama going?
Oh boy. So for context, the World Championship for League of Legends happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
it was
quite
like a month
recent,
ago.
yeah.
It was like a month to 2 months ago, and it had some really good storylines. So I was like, I'm gonna write these up and share them with my friends. I kind of got all my dot points down, but I haven't got any further than that because it's like, damn, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah, you're in that sort of planning and organization stage?
Yeah, I've like written down. Okay, these are all the things I should mention.
Now you've got to really get
Now I've
started
got
to
to like
get started.
fucking
Yeah.
get into it. And It's
Yeah.
like, God, I was like, I want to do this like instead of just like in a Discord conversation with someone like writing down like, hey man, check out this cool thing that happened. I was like, I'm gonna do this properly, but like that's a lot of work.
Part of the editing class that I took for my masters outlined that even though it doesn't super like make sense from like an editing standpoint, it can be incredibly helpful to have this sort of like through line of narrative in a paragraph or like a section of non-fictional text, which is like it's easy to spool out when you're recounting like real events that actually happened, such as with League of Legends. But even when it's not with a real thing, like say workplace communication or like
Fiction.
a provocative expose on like restaurant health conditions, it's a part of how humans like take in information is through that narrative. So it's really important that you get that sort of, like, narrative device down.
Get the narrative going through. Get the narrative train on the tracks, going through League of Legends land into the minds of my readers.
Yeah,
Sorry, you go.
even if it's not consciously, like, narrative and story is how, like, we process and transmit information.
Yeah, I think that's, like, related to the whole thing, because the whole thing I was writing it is because it was just a tournament. There were just games that happened of players playing against each other, and, like, people won, people lost. But the histories of those players and the way those games played out develop a narrative and many narratives. And I'm like, there seems to be a disproportionately large number of cool narratives and a disproportionate coolness to those narratives that there isn't usually. Like, usually there's, like, some cool stories, but this one was like...
Sometimes it's a video game tournament, sometimes this happens.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes character arcs happen live at the Super Bowl.
Literally. Some of the players had, like, arcs across the tournament. They're, like, facing their long rivals, their friends who have left them apart. They're besting all the challenges that, like, had them stopped before. They were underdogs every single game they played. Every game they played, or, like, it's like they get to, like, someone thought there was a 10% chance they wouldn't get out of the first stage of the tournament. Then people were like, they probably won't get out of the first stage, or they won't do it on the top. But they get out, and then they're like, okay, 75% of people think they'll lose the quarterfinals, 80% of people think they'll lose the semifinals, and then 80% of people thought they'd lose the finals.
Yo.
And then all the players in that team have narratives, like one who's been playing his whole career in the shadow of the other player who he defeats in the finals, and one whose teammates, like, his team did really well 2 years ago, and then they all disbanded, and one of them came back, and now they have to beat all their ex-teammates in the semifinals and the finals to win the whole thing. One player who was, like, consistently underrated, he won the World Championship 2 years back, but everyone was like, oh, he's the weakest player on the team, and he comes back and he's the first ever player to win, or the third ever player to win 2 World Championships, when everyone said he was the weakest on that team. There was 2 players who had played for, like, a year or two, but were, like, really, people thought they weren't that great, and they came and they just popped off on the tournament. They did so well. One of them was, like, just, like, this mid-average player, and during the tournament, he lifted his game so much that everyone was like, okay, is this, like, the best player in the whole tournament? Is this, like, the best player in the world now? And the thing is, one of them joined the team, and then he was like to the other, like, I think you should join. If you join, we'll go to the World Championships together. And not only did they do it, they won the whole thing. On the opposing side, you had the greatest player of all time, which everyone agrees on. It's like, in League, in a lot of sports, it's like, oh, who's the greatest of all time? In League of Legends, there's, like, one player, Faker.
It's Mango, right?
No, it's Faker.
It's Mewtwo King.
That you're thinking, Merle. So the thing about esports is that they're different
all the same,
games.
Right? And every game is interchangeable.
So the greatest Crusader Kings 2 player of all time, Faker, which everyone agrees on, and he's the only person to win 3 World Championships.
Are you sure this guy's legit?
Yes,
really,
he's the real deal.
I'm hearing his name correctly, yeah?
Yeah, it's
his
Faker.
name's Faker.
Yeah,
right. I'm gonna keep that one as foreshadowing.
Are you saying
can pretend
he's
that
faking
legit.
it?
I'm saying there's a chance.
Are you casting aspersions on our boy Faker?
I think he might be fake.
Fuck!
No, he's not fake. He's Faker.
Yeah, it's faker than fake.
No, that'd be fake. Yeah.
He's not fakers. There's someone faker out there, but
the point is, he's the greatest of all time. He won 3 World Championships, and he's finally back on the stage after 5 years. He's finally back in the World Finals. So it's either the guy in the other team who did end up winning, Deft.
He's called Fake.
No, Deft. He's like, they've been playing for about the same amount of time. They've both been considered, like, the best in their roles. They've both managed to, like, be, like, some of the best for, like, 7 years, which is very impressive in esports. And Deft finally wins, like, a world championship, but Faker was going for his 4th. And there's this moment where they're like young, super talented support player. They lose the finals, and he's sitting there crying, having a breakdown. Because, like, it's a heavy moment, right?
Yeah.
You've finally got to the top, and then you let it down at the last second. And you see Faker, he's looking there at this other player having breakdown. And there's this flashback in everyone's minds to 5 years ago when Faker was last in the World Finals, and he lost. And there's this, like, famous photo of him also breaking down crying. It's like his looking at his past self. Also, I've kind of just verbally said, like, basically half my essay here.
Transcribe this, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
You gotta point out though that not only is Faker a little sus on account of the name, but also that the real greatest player in the world, me, was unavailable due to not being there.
I mean, yeah, it's true. I don't think we've ever talked about how you're a League of Legends champion, Cam.
Yeah, what's your favorite...
Yeah, will you say more to that, please?
What's your favorite champion?
Dr. Mungo.
And what does that character do?
He uses his own health as a resource.
He
hits you with an
mums.
axe.
That's right, John. I know one League of Legends character.
You got his name wrong, but, you know...
Oh, it's close enough. It was
Dr.
like Mungo or
Mundo.
Mungo. Yeah, look, Mungo's close enough.
Yeah.
I can't read, which is part of why I'm not allowed at the tournaments.
Let us have on the podcast at approximately 11 minutes in that Cam has confirmed a League of Legends player. Sick 'em, boys.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Get him, lads.
The reason I'm not at the championships is because it wouldn't be fair.
I mean, you would miss
Yeah, it
out
wouldn't
on
be
Morbmus.
I don't have a team, but I
Yeah.
could still do it.
Oh boy,
I could do it solo.
Metamorbphosis, Morbmus. I think you are going to hurt yourselves.
Yes.
I think it's going to be dangerous for our psyches.
Cam, would you like to explain what the metamorphosis
Would love
is?
to.
It's when you become... It's when a baby... It's when a little Morbapillar
It's when a
finally
little baby
turns
begins
into
to
a
turn into a cockroach.
Morbafly.
When a set of housemates
Love each
get
other
bored with
very-
each other
oh.
very much. Well, not bored with each other, but bored together.
And hot, because it's in the middle of summer.
And hot. It's going to be hot and boring in summer. We're going to watch
Hot bore
Morbius.
summer.
So, okay, on Thursday this week, which is the 1st of December, we're going to watch Morbius, right?
As
We're
you
going to
do.
record
As
our
everyone-
thoughts beforehand.
As everyone does. As
we've all
everyone
been there.
should.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the 1st of December.
Technically, we're not going to watch it together for Thursday because I have work and Merlin has work, and we
I'm
will be.
going to try and get out of work.
The
but-
schedules just won't work out.
You're trying.
But,
Yeah.
I might be able to help you. I'll see.
Oh, look, we'll see how we go. But
If there's anyone out there who can take my shift on
Is
Thursday
there
night...
anybody out there who can take my shift?
so we're going to record our thoughts beforehand and thoughts afterwards.
And then on Friday, the 2nd of December, we're going to watch Morbius twice. And then on Saturday, the 3rd of December,
You're gonna watch. You're going to have a relaxing, lovely day, which doesn't involve watching Morbius at all.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo. We're
I
going to watch
can't tell you
Morbius
that,
3
John.
fucking times. And this will continue until on December 31st we watch 31 Morbiuses.
Why?
Because
What do
it's
you
the
mean, why?
31st of December.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but
how the
why
that's how
are
it
you
works.
doing this?
Someone's gotta.
No, you don't, Cam.
No, we
Literally,
do.
no one has to or has asked
so,
you to
hold
do
on.
this.
No, it sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like 31 Morbiuses in one day. That's temporally impossible. Wrong. We're going to watch them in parallel.
Yeah.
so we're going to have like several Morbiuses going at once.
2.
We're actually not done at that point. On January 1st, December 32nd.
Hold on. Just before we reveal this sort of last little stinger,
Yep.
John, do you want to just take a random stab in the dark for me and tell me how many Morbii you think that 31 factorial will add up to?
That's not 31 factorial, that's lots more.
Is it not?
Factorial's times. So that's like 31 times 32 times 30 times 30 times 29.
I think.
Literally my
I
whole
know.
life I thought it was plus.
No, this got me as well until like last year, and I'm a fucking I do math-based things.
If anyone out there is good at math, please can you confirm this dilemma?
But, factorial's multiplication.
Okay.
It's really big.
But yeah, no. So how many Morbiuses do you think we're going to watch here, John?
Yeah. 31 plus 30
You don't have
plus
enough
29
fingers, John.
plus ellipses down to plus 1.
Give us a number, John.
He's counting really quickly, guys. This is incredible
He's
to
doing some
watch.
fucking Naruto hand
496.
moves. Correct. So on the
Wait,
first
really?
Yes, no, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't know this answer
Oh,
beforehand.
fair enough.
So on January 1st, December 32nd, we're going to watch 4 more Morbiuses. 4 Morbiuses.
Phobius.
Yep.
The old
to
4,
get us to a
4B?
nice
The old
even
4B?
500. We're gonna watch 500 Morbiuses in 32
And on January
days.
2nd, you're going to watch the critically acclaimed movie 500. Or was it 300?
It's 300, yeah, sorry, bud.
Well, we can watch 300.
It's
Like,
1 2/3 times.
Oh.
But yeah, we're going for the 5 centimorbs.
Yeah, 5 centimorbs. 1,000 morbs.
Can you move the mic back a little
Sorry.
bit, Cam?
Away from me?
Yeah, I think you're just a little loud.
Is that better?
Yeah, maybe?
I'll just move it a long way.
Not a lot. It doesn't need to be a long way. I just think you're a little bit louder.
Overheard
also
and
just be quieter.
UniSFA presents troubleshooting.
I don't
That's
want you to
fine.
be quiet. I just don't want you to be...
I want you to be
yeah.
quiet, Cam. Shut up.
Cam, shut the fuck up.
Get out of here, Cam. Don't make
get-
us throw rocks at you.
But why? Like, you don't have to do this.
I want to.
No, you don't.
I love to throw rocks at Cam.
Cam, turn the microphone back on. Cam, they can't hear you if you've got the microphone off.
Cam,
Luke,
oh my
you switched
god.
off your targeted computer. What's wrong?
I will use the force to direct the sound waves
Yeah, I'm
into the software.
I'm gonna record the greatest podcast of all time. I've turned off my mic.
The podcast.
Yeah, so
silence.
tune into the UniSFA network throughout the month of December for our daily updates on why the fuck are we doing this to ourselves.
You know what? I just don't do it. Like,
No, it's too late
People ask me why I want to do this, and I don't know. I can only describe it as like the moth to the flame. Like, this is my crusade.
Yeah, the moths
and
get
I am
burned.
I am the king.
the moths
must.
die.
Morbius is my holy land.
The thing is with moths is that they make anything more realistic.
You see, that's the thing about moths, is that they add realism to everything.
This is the sound of a
If
moth
you
touching the
looked at
mic.
this microphone and it was covered in like swarming moths that were like, buzzing around, you'd be like, that's a real microphone.
I think the microphone's already real, Cam.
But what if it wasn't? You wouldn't
Cam-
be able to tell if there was
yeah,
moths.
Can I tell you guys about a fiction idea that I had earlier today when I was like wandering around in the shops?
At some point I have to explain that I'm allergic to Tuesdays now, but yes.
Well, do you want to go first or shall I go
Bloody
first?
Tuesday, innit?
Yeah.
Bloody Tuesday.
Yeah.
And he calls himself allergic to Tuesdays.
Alright, I
And he
guess I'm doing
calls
my
himself
bit, man.
allergic to Tuesdays, but allergic to Morbius? No way.
We
He's
don't
all
know
good
yet.
on the Morbius
It's-
front.
It is entirely
Tuesdays,
possible.
though. One single Tuesday's too much for Dr. 500 Morbius.
Yes, no, actually though.
What you gonna do on the Tuesday when you're watching Morbius? Have a sickie,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
watch 5 Morbiuses
So-
or whatever.
So I'm sure that
More
you
by.
couldn't tell, but last week I was not on the podcast.
I
I
couldn't
don't
tell,
think that
actually.
anyone noticed that. I know
no,
I
it was
didn't.
fine.
Well, I was unconscious.
Yeah.
I mean, Merlin, you weren't there on the podcast
No.
last week because
It was
Cam was
Dave.
there.
Dave owes me a fucking drink. But yeah, no, I was like very sick after work, and I was fine for work. I just had a headache.
Same goddamn thing today. I've been fine all week, but Tuesday. A minor headache
The
at work.
Tuesday, the day we
Get
record the
home?
podcast,
Yeah.
you just happen to get a headache every...
No, the headache's at work, and then I get home and I get
Cam,
like,
you could
really
say if you
bad.
don't want to be here.
I want to be here. I like it here.
I like it here.
Yeah. If I didn't like being here, I would just not be here.
This is a weird bit to do on the podcast.
It's a weird bit to do on the podcast.
Yeah, alright, fine. It's time for me to turn my microphone off.
Not, god damn it. It turned its microphone off.
No, microphone off, gang.
You know what?
Yeah, microphone off.
Fuck this,
gang.
I'm turning my mic off too.
Yeah, well, we all have to have a turn now, so it's all even.
John, I can tell your microphone's still on. It's not. No, it's up now.
Okay, we're turning the mics
Right,
back
okay,
on.
Mike's
Yeah,
back
okay,
on.
Mike's back
That
on.
was-
Mike.
Yeah, so tell us about your allergic to Tuesdays.
Yeah, so I it's just two Tuesdays in a row where I've been like fucking destroyed on my way home from work. And,
Tuesday
like, had to
broke
go
into your
fucking
house and
pass
shot
out.
you in the head.
So
Tuesday
if
broke
next
into your
week it
house,
happens
ate your
again-
pasta, and downloaded Morbius 500 times.
Wait, no, next week I'm not working Tuesday. We'll be able to like fucking stress test this theory.
The way that your eyes, like, opened as you had that realization, it was like, I felt like your brain grew 3 sizes
Realization.
that day.
My brain is a
relish.
hollow square.
Relishation.
Oh, now I want
Like-
relish.
Yeah.
Relish.
What does relish even taste like?
It's like
It's
green. Yeah, all I know about relish is the fucking gummy lollies.
Relish and chutney are the same guy.
Are
Yeah,
they?
I love chutney.
Or
love
are
my
they
boy
like groups
Chuts.
and teams where they're subtly different but also the
They're
same?
in two teams. They're in a blue team, a green team, and a red team.
I swear to God, dude, groups and teams are exactly the same fucking thing.
The green
Groups, teams, squads, it's all the same shit.
green team and red team. Which team are you on?
Green.
I said green.
Okay,
Green.
well, the fuck you.
Red, gray, green.
No, generally, I think I'm on green team.
What was your fiction
Yeah.
idea, Merlin?
My fiction idea was, I was thinking a little bit about Supernatural and how the angel wings are depicted on Supernatural.
Oh, that is one of the coolest fucking
think-
things about
Yeah.
Supernatural.
I get the sense you think about Supernatural a lot.
No.
I get the
A natural amount. Maybe a little more than that.
No
Maybe it's a
further,
little supernatural.
no further comments on how much I think about Supernatural. I'm taking no more questions at this time. But anyway, the fiction idea I had that is in no way related to Supernatural whatsoever. What if angels' wings are like more...
Bias.
Fucking shoot me dead in the middle of the street, I
I'm
guess.
sorry.
biblically accurate angel. It gets one wing on December 1st, two wings on December 2nd.
Every time you watch Morbius, an angel gets
Gets
its
its
wing.
wings.
God, they've been wingless for like a year and a half. How long has it been since Morbius dropped? And no one's fucking seen it yet.
What do you mean? They've got a more billion people have seen it.
Yeah, that's true, but they've all left.
They've all left. They unsaw it. The
Yeah.
angels stopped them. If angel, that's the reason Morbius came out, because the angels didn't have the wings to fly to Hollywood and stop them.
Yeah, they say the devil's greatest trick was convincing people that he doesn't exist. Wrong. It was convincing people not to watch Morbius.
Oh, he did a fantastic job.
Bang up job.
Yeah, congratulations, Satan.
Are you now the servants of God? This it all ties back. This is your crusade, and Morbius
This is my crusade. I'm an agent of God.
You feel the calling.
I really kind of do, though. Like, I'm excited for, like, day 17 when I achieve a serenity that no other human being
I
has
honestly
known.
expect Merlin to grow some kind of, like, stigmata.
I expect to like.
Stigmata, in which I can insert, like, DVD copies of Morbius.
I expect to
My
message
hands
you.
aren't that big.
I expect you to message you on like the 20th of December, like, "Hey Merlin, how's it going? I haven't heard from you in a while." And you don't. And you just start typing out the entire Morbius script because that's all you know how to say.
32nd
The
night of
of
December.
Morember. Watching more.
You see,
Waste
the thing
morbing the night away.
I'm excited about is that I actually don't know anything about Morbius, so, like, the first couple times I'm gonna watch a new movie.
Yeah, and you can watch a movie a couple times like a champ.
Yeah.
I don't know. From
Mel
what I've
will
heard
watch a
about
movie
Morbius,
3 times. Mel will stop not stop watching that movie.
Yeah. Like, I still watch Elf most Christmases.
that's nice. It's nice to have a family Christmas movie. You
Yeah,
know.
well, the Ed Cameron a few Christmases ago got me a DVD
Friend of the
copy,
show, by the way.
copy of Elf. Because, like, I don't know, I've almost kind of Stockholm syndromed myself into, like, Elf being my Christmas movie. It's,
You typecast yourself, yeah.
yeah, comforting in the same way that something terrible can be comforting, like how you can keep touching a bad texture over and over, and that almost, like, ritual of, like, pulling your hand away at the when you encounter it.
It's like
is-
pushing a bruise.
This is.
Yeah, like pushing a bruise. That's what Elf is to
This
me.
sounds like watching Elf is unhealthy.
unhealthy.
Unelfy.
Unelfy.
No, it's the opposite. It's very elfy. Very elfy in it.
But one of the bonus features on Elf is like a little like fun facts mix.
Oh,
and
fuck.
As you watch Elf, you can obtain little fun facts about how Elf was made.
Oh, like watching it X-ray mode.
So,
yeah,
so
like
you would
watching
think
an X-ray mode.
you would think this would give you like useful tidbits. I'm sorry. You can take this bit. This is your bit. I'm filled with rage.
Yeah, one might think that this would include like fun facts about how Elf was made, maybe how like Will Ferrell thinks about Buddy the Elf, all the like interesting and like complex field of depth work that they had to get to make James Caan so little. And they really did shrink him for the movie, which nobody ever talks about.
I've heard it's not allowed. You're not allowed to talk about it. It's classified.
Yeah.
They shrunk him for the movie, and the technology is not allowed to be resurfaced.
Well, yeah, because they couldn't make him large again, and that's why he was never in any films after Elf.
No, he was in one more, but they had to use perspective trickery to make him look normal.
Yeah, they had to use depth of field to make him large again.
That's what they do with Elijah Wood.
They chucked whatever.
They just stand him on a box.
They chucked whatever laser they did to make him small into like one of the nuclear waste like disposals with like the signs that say this is not a place of honor. You know, the
Don't
things
get open inside.
the things that go in like booty shorts. And you can't risk going and trying to find it because like one of them will have it, but the rest you'll die. So
Yeah.
Really, they could have solved the problem by putting the batteries in upside down, but whatever.
like most problems could be solved that way. Turning it off and on again or switching the batteries around.
Yeah. But yeah, what is actually in the fun facts reel of Elf are interesting facts like what dialogue is, and
Dialogue is when two characters talk to each other.
Is it, Cam?
props are tools that characters can use in a scene.
It's like, wow,
The setting is where the place is set.
no, it's too complex.
Did you know that New York is one of the largest cities in the continental US?
Yes, I did know that.
Did!
I fucking did know that.
So yeah, Elf, despite being a movie that is too old for 5-year-olds, can only give me facts that 5-year-olds wouldn't know.
I don't think it's too old for 5-year-olds.
I think
I
it's
don't
for
know.
their...
No, I think they're the target audience, dude. I think that the jokes that you like are there as a bits that parents watching it don't, like, just fucking jump off of the car. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
Jump off of the car.
I don't know.
So
I
that
think
parents don't put their children in a conveyor belt and walk away.
my favourite joke in Elf is Buddy the Elf accidentally buying lingerie for his father. I think that's really funny.
That's fair.
It's for a special someone.
I'm
Also,
think-
him beating the shit out of Santa.
I think the bonus features are for those people like yourself, who may be in a situation where you watch so much Elf that you're beginning to lose touch with reality, and you need to like remind yourself, like, New York exists. It's a city, the continental USA.
Oh, New York doesn't exist, man.
In the continental
No, see,
US.
I've known Merlin for years. Unfortunately, this is not what is happening. Merlin watches Elf and it grounds it.
Yeah.
Dude is centered.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
the
like-
facts like
No,
center
like
you in
regular,
reality.
Like, you've watched Elf so many times and now you're too real.
Yeah, touching Elf is like a... reset my brain to like 90% of the CPU usage.
It
Sobers it up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, watching
it
Elf is
really
like
does
bizarrely
sound like
sobering.
this is like some meditative practice for you.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Like-
why I'm so excited for Morbius.
You
Turn
take
it
your-
into a send.
You take your yearly trek to the Elf Monastery.
Yeah, like Elf in Reverse.
It's called the North Pole, dickhead.
Yeah. Can I tell you guys about my dream panto pitch?
Sure.
Oh, yes, I love this.
Okay, so my pitch is, and it's not very fleshed out, but this is what my dream panto would look like. Panto, if you're listening, please put me in the program. So the working title is Breaking Buddy. But Buddy, it starts out like very, very like Elf, and Buddy learns that his father is actually human. Like, both of his parents are human, but like, the mum's not important.
He's been grabbed by Santa,
Yeah,
by the
he's
elves.
been accidentally grabbed by Santa, and he finds out who his father is. But his father's on the naughty list. Bum, bum, bum.
So far, this is just Elf.
Yeah. But instead of being on the naughty list for, like, not wanting to produce kids' books, Buddy's dad is now Bryan Cranston.
He's
And
making
he's on
meth.
the naughty list for stealing chemistry equipment to... No, man down!
Jesus Christ, we've had a book-a-lanch right behind me. An assassination attempt as the new books have fallen down and almost
The
killed
attempt
me.
on my life
Life
has left me scarred and
The
disfigured.
attempt on my life has left a new bookshelf scarred and deformed.
Yeah.
No, I'd like to point out that my favorite part of this so far is that it's not Walter White who's his father, it's Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
It's not the character Walter White, it's just Bryan Cranston in this case has decided that like
Yeah.
his acting career has gotten down the drain, and the only
Well, yeah,
thing he
'cause if
knows how
Brian-
to.
If Brian Cranston turned up to a high school and was like, "Hey, I need to borrow some chemistry equipment," haha, every motherfucker there would be like, "Of course you do, Brian."
Of course, household name Brian Cranston. You take these keys, you go fuck my wife, and you cook all the meth you want to in my oven.
Mr. Brian Cranston, what are you making in this trailer? What's this
I'm
thin
making
sheet of
love
methamphetamine?
with your
methamphetamine?
wife.
Ah, classic Brian Cranston.
50-50
Keep
mix
up.
of meth and sex with your wife.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's how you get the proportions even. And if
He's a
there's one
chemist.
thing, yeah, that I learned from Breaking Bad, it's that those proportions are crucial.
Does Morbius have a wife?
We'll find out. We'll get back
Yeah,
to you
I
on
don't know.
that.
Okay.
Okay, literally, and this will be on the Metamorbphosis on episode 1, but the only things right now that I know about Morbius are Jared Leto and Matt Smith are in it, it has something to do with vampires, and it's in the MCU, which brings us in, like, hard danger of other Marvel guys being there.
Also,
I
he
think I
does
can
say
add
it's mobbing
two
time, then
things.
mobs all over everyone else.
I've got 2 more things to add to that list.
Don't
I think
you dare.
No, I've discussed with you. I know you know these things. One of them, his name is actually John Morbius. That's his name.
What?
The character's name is
John
John
H.
Morbius.
Morbius.
And 2, Matt Smith does the sex dance.
Have sex. And he does, like, his weird little wiggly dance that I didn't believe was real. Like, not to bring us back around to Supernatural, but there's a very famous outtake of Jensen Ackles just doing, like, a funny little dance.
Shut up! You know this was perfectly to bring us back to the supernatural.
Alright,
just the
you
guy-
got
Yeah,
me.
yeah. What are you gonna do? Send me to super hell?
Well, where all the gay people are? That was what I planned all along, John!
Ah, you say as you burn.
Or I get glumped, because that was actually what happened in Supernatural.
Glomp.
Yeah, no, Castiel makes a deal with the Empty.
Slapped me in the face with the word glomp there. It's been
He
a while, old
glumps
friend.
you. Yeah, Cassio gets, like, completely encased in black goo.
We've all been there.
Yeah. It, sucks him into super hell, and then, and this has been on my mind for the last 2 years, alright? The specific way that this love confession scene is shot implies that Jensen Ackles bounces off 2 walls before he hits the ground. So it's not
What?
just like
It's cut
he
together really
is,
weird.
He is like, he steps back and his back hits the wall and he slides down against it. He, like, backs off to the right of frame. He, like, then the shot is mirrored and he hits, like, the left. Because it goes back and forth between him and Cass to build up that character tension.
Yeah.
He hits left of frame because the camera is now dynamically on the other side of them. And then it's back to the right again because of, like, the angles that they wanted for the actors' faces. But it looks like Dean bounces once, twice, and then hits the floor sideways.
Fucking Castiel or Dean Ping Pong.
Yeah.
Get that.
Beep, 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 beep.
Someone make a pinball machine that's supernatural, and it's like the little pinball that just has like his face on it.
The
Please,
pinball
oh
is
my
Castiel
God.
bouncing
Yeah.
around
Oh my
down to
God.
super hell.
John, when we...
He's a pinball.
I don't even want to say
wizard.
any words. I have so many feelings bubbling up in my heart about pinball right now. And, like...
Really?
Are you a pinball wizard? Oh
No.
my god, Merlin wizard.
It's me.
It's
I'm the whole band The Who, right here in UniSFA.
wait, the Who?
Oh, is it not The Who? Did I just fuck everything up?
No,
Wait, the Who? Merlin has turned off its mic and has a resigned look on its face.
No, the Who was Matt Smith, though, right?
You're thinking of
Pinball wizard,
Christopher
there has
Eccleston.
to be a trick.
You know what? Let's get into some Doctor Who discourse.
What?
Who are your guys' favourite Doctor?
GP.
Alright, okay, so you
No, psychologist. Clinical
Nice,
psych.
nice.
No, psychiatrists, because
Nice,
they're not
nice.
actually doctors.
PhD.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty broad, though. Like,
Yeah,
my dad has a PhD. You saying...
he's my favorite.
Aww.
I fucked your dad, John.
Stay away from my fucking dad.
Stay away
You know what?
from
Just stay
your
away from my dad.
Fucking. I'm sorry.
Um,
a dumb
Merlin, this is where I need to tell you that I have, like, no Doctor Who knowledge. I think it came up on, like, episode 2 of the podcast.
That's fine though. Who's your favorite Doctor though?
The one everyone knows.
David Tennant?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Either that or Tom Baker.
I think it was David
My
Tennant.
favorite classic Who, I think, is still Sly McCoy.
Why is there
Yeah.
classic Who? Like, it feels like it's World of Warcraft. Like, there's Doctor Who and then Doctor Who classic.
It is exactly like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, David Tennant, this guy.
So, guys, we haven't talked about the championship for Doctor Who. Like, the character arcs this year, I think, was second to none.
The Doctor Who League Championship?
Yeah.
The Doctor
Yeah.
Who League.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like the Doctor Who WoW championships, not the LOL championships.
No, I'm talking about the Doctor Who Brawl Championships. On that note, Doctor Who fighting game.
What?
Oh my god, I'd play that.
Yeah, right? Like a Doctor Who, like, you can make the Doctors, like, kick the shit out of
All the
each other.
characters are just the different Doctors. They
Yeah.
all have the exact same moveset.
There's like a bonus where you can
Yeah,
play
no.
as Chris Eccleston Doctor and
What
just fight the
What
Queen.
WoW class would the Doctors play? Would the Doctor play?
They are all wizards.
I want,
What
like,
about
the
Warlock?
Doctors to turn up to, like,
Druid?
the
No, they're
LOL,
wizards.
the LOL Championship, all as one team.
All as one team?
Yeah, all as one team.
What do you think
could've
they're
played
called?
together.
No, that was
the
one of the
Doctors?
specials. You missed it.
Oh, shit, fuck.
Talking about specials, Cam, what are your thoughts on the Star Wars Christmas special?
Alright, so I've been asked this recently.
Yeah, I know.
I
Patrick
actually do have
Patrick asked you, and then
So,
Patrick
I
mentioned
had a-
asking you, so I thought I'd get your thoughts
So
on the
I gave a
podcast.
joke response,
Wait,
but the
no,
more
so
I
sorry.
think
Who asked you about
Patrick
asking
asked Cam.
about the
Patrick
Star Wars
asked
Christmas
Cam, and then
special?
Patrick mentioned to me about how he asked Cam, and I was like, "That's an interesting thing to cast," because
Cool.
Cam asked.
Yeah, sorry. I was...
Cast?
Can I cast
quite-
you a question?
Yeah, quite following the series of events here. So, Patrick asked you to
At
ask
0800 hours,
Yep.
No, Patrick
Pat-
asked me.
at
and then told them
0700 hours, Patrick
Now-
asked Cam.
about it. John is remorselessly stealing Patrick's bit of asking me this question.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, well, Patrick's not here. He's already had an episode. Patrick, if you want to get another episode, you can ask me. I don't know. I'm trying not to do duplicates.
Dave's on next week, so we'll probably need someone else to cover.
Yeah, I'm trying not to do duplicates. Unless like one of our guests are missing,
Yeah.
or one of our hosts are
Yeah,
missing.
unless someone's missing.
Unless someone's missing,
Have you guys ever heard the song Dupe by Dupe?
Oh, fuck yeah, I have.
doop a doop, a doop a doop,
Yeah, can we cut in like 2
Dupe-a-doop.
seconds of Dupe by Dupe in here?
a doop a doop.
We'll lose our audience, dude.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. I feel like this podcast
I feel like-
would be... I'll link it. I'll link Dupe by Dupe in the comments.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes.
Cheers.
Got.
But yeah, so
Also, I feel like if any episode is one to like get copyright striked, it's this one.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so my thoughts on this Christmas special, because I came up with a joke response that I posted, and I was like, wait, no, I stand by that.
They should have let Mark Hamill's face heal.
What?
They should. So the Christmas
haven't watched it,
special,
by the way.
So the thing with the Christmas special is that it was filmed between episode 4 and 5.
Yeah, wasn't Mark Hamill in quite a traumatic car
He
accident in
was.
the intervening time?
So one of the first things
Jesus.
that happens in episode 5 of Star Wars is that, one, they're on a snow planet, so Mark Hamill's got his whole face covered for most of the start, and he goes out into the snow and gets his ass fucking removed by a wampa. And then, like, goes through some severe trauma physically and in the thing, and he, like, gets put in a back to tank, which is a big healing pod, whatever. And that's to explain that he looks different now. It is the same actor,
Yeah.
and, like... But yeah, he looks different because he's been through a severe car accident,
Jesus,
had
I never
major
knew that.
facial reconstruction surgery, right? And during the Christmas special, that is ongoing treatment. His face is it's like people going through that are going to look like it's not like there's anything wrong with that. It's more like, goddamn, if somebody is going through facial reconstruction like that, don't put them in a big deal like movie thing at the time, right?
Yeah. It feels like, I don't know, like, obviously Mark Hamill can advocate for himself, but it feels like expecting him to be in, like, a big Christmas special, which is for, like, kids who may not understand that that's what he's going through,
Yeah.
would be weird and strange.
I don't know. I think it's for the best that the Christmas special sucks shit. Because, like, fuck.
I mean, like, I think all Christmas specials of basically everything suck shit, but
Oh,
please
no,
go
the
on.
Star Wars Christmas special is above and beyond.
I
In
think
sucking
Christmas.
shit or being
Yeah,
meaningful?
in
I
sucking
think
shit.
I think Christmas things shouldn't be good. I think I'm happy to have Christmas things be kind of bad, and then like because Christmas to me is cheesy and corny and like,
Yeah.
you know, traditional in that you repeat the same things every year, even though like even if they're not that good or like whatnot.
Well, I mean, they did sort of, in a way, they canonized parts of the Christmas special in The Mandalorian. So a big part of the Christmas special is that they're trying to get to Chewbacca's house. They're trying to get. They're trying to. Han and Chewbacca, and I think Luke is there. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time.
They're
trying to get back to Chewbacca's place for Life Day. Which is, because they don't have Christmas in Star Wars, because it's in the goddamn...
Because Jesus doesn't exist, and that's why all those things happen.
Yet and there. Jesus will exist, but only in a different galaxy in
far,
the distant
far
future.
away.
Yeah.
No, please keep going. I've just thought of a great thing to talk about, though.
But yeah, so Life Day is actually mentioned in The Mandalorian, as someone's like, I gotta go to my family for Life Day. It's like, they made that canon. That's fucked up.
Oh, nice, so sweet. That's fucked up. Yeah, true. What was going through my... I love Christmas, not because I am religious at all. I don't know, the fact our society or culture can all agree, let's just do these, like, kind of strange things every year. Like, hang out with family and give presents and have these certain meals and these certain, like... have these certain songs that we listen to and certain decorations going up and like the general joyous Christmas cheer. Obviously, this does not apply to all people. Some people, Christmas is a very horrible time, and some people don't celebrate Christmas. And that's perfectly valid.
A lot of the, at least kind of like secular ideals of Christmas kind of ring a little bit empty for me.
Yeah.
But also I feel like society in general is kind of like willfully forgetting that Christmas is like a non-secular holiday. And I feel like it's important to keep that in mind.
That's fair. I guess I am thinking of Christmas in like a way that's very detached from its like kind of Christian origins. I'm thinking of it more of just holidays,
Yeah. I think the
you're
holiday
a fan of the season.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of the season, and I don't know, like, everything to do with Christmas that isn't like obviously Christmas isn't going to church for me. Christmas is about like family, the people you love, these very specific songs and
Christmas
foods.
You enjoy it is culturally Christian, but it is not. You're not celebrating it as in a Christian way yourself.
Yeah,
directly, right?
basically,
it makes sense. It's pretty standard. Yeah.
But I think. I don't know, I'm like, society, it's good sometimes that we can, like, on the whole, a lot of people can agree on and enjoy this. And I think it's...
and even if it's not at the same time, but, like, the general ideals of, like, togetherness.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
The shared meal, even if it's not necessarily in, like, the December, like, traditional Christmas time frame.
Yeah.
That I can get behind, like, the sort of, like, sharing of community rituals, etc.
Yeah.
God, my Christmas is so fucking different to that.
I don't know. I feel like at least my family get along like well enough, and whatnot, that I can kind of have that idealized Christmas a little bit.
Fair. My family tried it a few times. We have something closer now. It's odd. My family's a weird bunch. At the end of the day, it's probably it's Christmas could be a worse time for us than it is, and that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that it's not...
I'm slowly adopting families as time goes on, because I don't talk to mine anymore. But I am catching other people's families with a giant butterfly net.
Yes.
And soon I will accomplish the fabled triple ham somersault into nap time.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my fucking
You'll
God.
get killed, dude. You can't do 3 hams.
I can't do 3 hams, but I'm sure
It can
as
do
fuck gonna
500
try.
Morbiuses. It can do 3 goddamn hams.
No.
I actually don't know
Merlin
what'll
can
kill
barely
me
do
faster.
1 ham.
Yeah. I have like one like tiny little bite-sized chunk of ham, and I'm out. The meat coma hits me like a freight train.
Merlin purchased what I would consider a half serving of potato salad today and was like, yeah, I'll have this for 2 meals. And I'm like, what are you fucking talking about?
It's on Boxing Day.
Sizes.
We the authorities will have a lot of time figuring out whether it will be the 3 hams or the 26 Morbiuses that killed you.
26 Morbiuses that day. I believe the plan is to have breakfast-ish with my family and watch 1 Morbius there with my family.
Yeah.
Whichever ones are in the state, which is probably just Mum, I think. Max might be back.
I think your mum will tolerate Morbius.
My mum will absolutely... My mum's into shit.
Cam's mum, friend
Watching a
of
horror
the
movie
show.
is-
Heidi Locke, my mother-in-law, is one of the loveliest, strongest women that I've ever had the pleasure
Oh,
of meeting.
Cam's mum, friend of the show.
Cam's mum,
Friend of me,
the
of
show.
course.
Yeah.
Close friend of mine.
So your mum
Go on,
said
go on.
hi, Cam.
Yeah, we'll do. No, I'll tell her she had a shout out this episode, and that's fine. I think she intends on listening to this at some point, but I don't
Oh,
think she ever
fuck.
get around to it. Oh, look, don't worry, man.
Hi.
She's heard worse. Dude, she's got 3 sons, all of whom went to an all-boys high school.
Oh boy.
So, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
she works
you
in a
Oh,
private
boy.
Yeah,
high
she
school.
works at now, yeah. But yeah, what was I fucking saying?
The journey of Christmas.
The journey.
Oh, yeah, so
Come with me on my stupid
like-
fucking journey.
the last time we had, like, a Christmas with some extended family, it's basically like, we'll sit in whichever family has got the most air conditioning that's willing to put up with everyone being there, and we'll put on a fucking horror movie and we'll bitch about our lives. And
That's fucking good.
Right,
that
that's
sounds
what we do.
good.
Because there is, at this stage, nobody is married anymore.
Oh.
Oops, no marriages.
Oops.
Right?
marriage.
Oh, it's a fucking mess.
In a way that's both good and bad.
Yeah, it's for the best, right?
It's
but,
like those.
you know,
they happen for a reason. It's good.
we've
It's
got
over.
we've got a lot of things that we all like have in common to bitch about, and it's good.
What can bring two parties together more firmly than mutual complaints about a third party?
Yeah, or just about general things.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
We do. We love
Yeah.
to gripe in
The-
my family.
The rule of Christmas: the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I'm-
mean that's what I learned from Elf in the fun facts reel.
I'm just thinking about griping now. I love griping, lads.
Yeah.
Any gripers?
Yeah, them gripers out there.
Yeah, any
get that?
gripe heads
Yeah.
listening?
Send DM Merlin your gripes.
Yeah, or email me. You got my
Bunch of
email from
shit
the last
forced
podcast.
to gripe.
Or go to Cam's house.
Yeah, or go to Cam's house.
Go to Cam's house and gripe.
Yeah,
with
if you don't
him.
have the address,
Go to
just come
Cam's
to my house and
mum's
ask me for
house
it.
and watch a horror movie and gripe with them.
But yeah, Morbius is horror movie adjacent enough. So the
Yeah.
plan is we have breakfast dish at my mum's place. We watch Morbius there. We go home. We watch the 23 Morbiuses we'd need to get the 24. And then in the evening we go to Jack's family's place. We watch
We-
Morbius there.
Yeah. With maybe some dinner over
Yeah,
at
yeah.
Jack's house.
The thing, that sounds. Wait. There we go. The
Bless you.
tissue out.
That was a really cute sneeze.
I don't know. I feel like when you laugh or sneeze, you can kind of control how it sounds, and I think I've because I know my laugh sounded like I used to have like a very kind of like, or sometimes I would have a very what's the word with the
I had a real cackle going for a year. Or
I had
two.
like the kind of like snortle like pig laugh at some
Yeah.
point,
Right.
and
I'm
I've kind of
very aware of that my laugh is like quite loud and sounds very distinctive.
You know what sucks? I do not always get warning when I sneeze.
oh Jesus.
Sometimes I just sneeze
Oh.
with like no warning. And as a man whose
Big
nose
sneeze,
bleeds a
the
lot,
screen sheet player.
this can have devastating consequences.
I
There is
learnt
nothing worse than
somehow-
just going "Choo," and there's blood everywhere.
Jesus.
Sucks.
I learned somehow when I was little that I could redirect my sneezes through my nose, and that doing so was the optimal strategy in order to remain quiet.
I think sneezes just by default go through your nose.
Isn't that coughs? Don't you? You
Sneezes-
Is your coughs sound like
You
sneezes? or
do
vice
like an
versa?
Yeah.
action with your mouth, but the actual like liquid of a sneeze does come out of your nose. So that's why you can
Yeah.
kind of like close your mouth and
No, I
still
think it's
sneeze.
Merlin's sneezes are coughs.
Yeah, or they sound like coughs. Like
Interesting.
I can feel very distinctly which is which, but they apparently sound very similar.
Interesting.
And that's my fun sneeze story that I brought to
Big
the
sneeze.
podcast for great
That story
listening.
was the sneeze knees.
I
I should have said
Aw.
bees sneeze.
be sneeze. But yeah, I changed my laugh a bit, I think, and I think I've for some reason making my sneeze like for comedic effect I would go like achoo. But now I just kind of do that by default. So I think I just have a default cute sneeze now.
Yeah, that's fair. I know people
It's
have done similar
adorable.
things.
Aw.
My favorite sneeze person is probably Geordie. One day we'll get Geordie on the podcast.
Yeah, we want to get Jordy on the
When
podcast
Geordie
and
will
like
sometimes just he'll sneeze, right, and he'll get like he'll either or he'll like almost sneeze and then not sneeze. But either way, like whether he sneezes or not, he'll wait a couple seconds and say "chew." fucking gets me every time.
I do have to say, it's very serial killer of you to have a person whose sneezes are your favorite.
He's got like a bit though. He does a joke.
He is my favorite.
It's like if
sneezer.
everyone is doing something and one person's making it funny, that guy's my favorite.
You are my sixth
You
favorite
explain it away so
sneezer.
rationally, but I think that we should all judge you.
All right, that's fair.
Judge.
Judge.
This is what it is
Judge.
to me.
Oh,
This is
crap,
what
Donald's
judge me
gonna
to.
walk
Donald
in.
Sutherland fucking blows the doors in.
Donald, friend of the show.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention more on
get Donald at
Christmas.
some point.
Of your Christmas sounds really nice to me because my
no, it is
Christmas
nice,
is
yeah.
very. It's very pleasant. Like my nan is like this old
Oh.
English. This old short English lady who like does like cooking and right. So she'll cook like Christmas dinner and whatnot. And like everyone in my family I get along with, but also like my cousins. Basically all my people in my family almost. Or at least in my extended family, like the cousins that I see at Christmas, they're like 5 to like 10 years older, maybe even
there's the
older
age
than me,
gaps.
and there's just like this. It feels like there's this impassable cultural gap between us
Yeah.
that we can't
Know what I
ever really connect.
I was like that, yeah, in
like-
my family. I was the only person in about 5 years of my age range.
Oh, weird. That is nuts to me.
I have my sisters who I can get along with, like my stepdad and
Yeah.
even my grandparents a little bit, but especially my cousins, like my
No,
aunt.
it's harder. It's easier to talk to someone who's far away from you in age than it is someone who's like just outside of your bracket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when it's like uncanny.
Yeah, I think there's like 2 people in my family who I can like really like get and have a good engaged conversation with like consistently.
Yeah,
I know
'cause
I love all the people in my family, of course. Like I'm not being like I hate talking.
Oh, I've got
you
some
guys.
fucking exceptions
Fair
about your
enough.
family.
Oh, about my family?
Yeah, fuck your family, John.
Huh?
Specific members
Stop
of your
doing
family
that.
who-
I told you. Okay.
Specific undisclosed members of John's family. Just not
Who?
a fan. I'm not gonna. That would be rude.
Yeah.
Do you hate my baby cousin?
No,
Is it because she
babies are
drops
great.
food everywhere?
Oh, babies are great. I love those little guys.
Oh, okay.
They got little hands.
Oh my god, one of my favorite things to do when Cam is like very emotional or when he's drunk is to remind him about like baby shoes for babies who are so small they can't wear rubber-soled shoes yet. So it's just like the tiny little
So
like
shaped
socks that
sock.
are knitted to look like shoes.
Aw,
Right?
baby socks never
Never
worm.
No, yeah.
Baby
I've,
socks too small, baby came out a monster.
No, I've been like a huge baby fan
Baby sucks.
since I was a baby. When my middle brother James, so I'm the oldest of 2 younger brothers. When James was born, I was 2, and I was like,
You were like, holy shit, what is that?
no, I was like, this thing's great. This is my favorite little dude. Other like strangers will like go and interact with the baby, right? Because it's like, oh shit, look at that thing, and I'd be like, no, that's my brother.
Aww.
Aw.
That's adorable older sibling.
And I was
energy.
able to put that together like much more coherently than a 2-year-old's meant to.
Yeah, because you learnt to talk quite early as a child,
Yeah,
didn't you?
it's like by 2 I wasn't just like talking. I was having like, I remember being, I think it was before James was born, so I'd be at most 2, right? Having a conversation with my mum where I was like, and obviously I was 2, right? I'm learning to fucking talk.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I was like, I don't care about you. And I was trying to say, I don't care for you. Like, I don't look after you. You look after
Right.
me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I think I was like I got confused about her saying like that I do, and I was like, no, I don't. That's not the situation we've got here.
Brutal. Slammed
Yeah,
dunked
no,
by
I remember her being
2-year-old.
hurt, and I was like, no, what have I done? And I've
Aw.
always been really careful about my wording ever since. Because I don't know, I was like, oh shit, I hurt my
Yeah.
mom's feelings. I care about her. I don't want to do that. Except that if I'd known how to say that at the time, wouldn't have happened.
English or just communication.
Garbage
actually.
language, yeah.
Communication was bad in general. We should just never talk to anyone.
No, we should just be in the soup like an Evangelion.
Yeah. Okay, so I really liked the end of Evangelion.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, right?
Wait, you specifically mean the end of Evangelion, not the end of Evangelion.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
The
ending
end
of
of
the
Evangelion,
Evangelion
the
anime.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also,
the
Um,
movie was, like, fine, but it, like, diluted the message in a way that I don't think
I-
it needed to
okay,
be.
I
think
heard someone
without-
else like have the exact opposite opinion of like, oh, they had to like make an actual movie to like show you what happened because the other endings were like terrible.
I think End of Evangelion contextualizes Death and Rebirth a little bit.
I
a
think
way that,
it
like,
does. I know. I feel like there are two sides of the same
Yeah.
coin of like
Yeah.
things happened. Here is one
Yeah.
perspective of the things that happen, and here is the other perspective of the things that
Am
happen.
I
Death and
allowed
Rebirth-
to spoil
Oh,
like,
yeah,
what
it's a-
happens in the end of
It's
Evangelion?
all
Yeah,
within our
sure.
audience.
Okay, so my
Do-do-do-do,
fucking
spoiler warning.
my absolute favorite thing that happens in the end of Evangelion movie is that Shinji's instinct upon waking up at the very end is to just start strangling Asuka again.
That's not his first instinct, but yeah, it's the first thing he does.
No, it's his first. He
Yeah,
goes
basically,
for it
yeah,
like
he does.
immediately. He wakes up and is like, "I'm
Oh, yeah,
not
no,
killing Asuka right
it's
now."
grim, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so well, because Death and Rebirth, which is the last two episodes of the anime, happen during End of Evangelion.
Yeah, they're in the
And
suit.
without that context, it's like, whilst, yes, they were self-contained episodes that you understood,
Yeah.
it's not narratively satisfying to jump from we're in the end game, things are getting serious now, to we're in the metaphysical realm here. Because there was no
Yeah.
explanation of how that got there.
I guess, but I found it really narratively satisfying.
That's fair.
I
don't know.
think I think it helps to see that and then be like, here's what was happening if you want to see it,
yeah.
right?
I almost wish that I hadn't seen it. Was my
Yeah.
takeaway from the end of Evangelion movie.
I don't know. I also think that without, because there was context you were picking up through Jack and I as well, right? That maybe wouldn't have been there without us knowing it. I don't know.
All I can say is like how my thoughts and feelings
Yeah, no, fair,
occurred,
totally.
like
Yeah, no,
experientially.
absolutely.
Also,
And I understand where you're coming
talking about things that you wish you hadn't seen.
from. Ooh,
I was
okay.
in a comics. I was in Quality Comics, great comic store in Perth here. Like the Monday after camp. So,
Yeah.
but buying more Scott Pilgrim books. Actually, it might have been when I first bought Scott Pilgrim. I'm a massive Scott Pilgrim fan now. Go read that series. We have it in UniSFA.
Yeah,
It's
you learned that.
I learnt that after I'd bought and read all of them.
Yep.
Are the ones we've got here color?
No,
Well, then
They-
you got the nice color.
I got the nice colored ones. Do you know what? I found a book in the Quality Comics, and as far as I could tell, it was one of the few non-graphic novels or mangas or comics in the store. And can you
Interesting.
guess what this was?
Sex.
Morbius.
No, kind of. No.
Okay.
Second guess. I'm going to give you all three guesses because you might be able to figure it out.
Homestuck Epilogues.
Yes. They had the book versions of the Homestuck
Jesus.
Epilogues.
Nightmare Time.
I'm pretty sure the epilogues, I heard somewhere at some point that they were originally only going to be in book form.
Ugh.
Or
Okay. Have I done my epilogues around on this podcast?
oh,
before?
absolutely not. We've barely had Homestuck ran.
All right. So
yeah, we only
so Homestuck-
demarcated like 20
Can we
minutes
like give
of
some
one
context
episode.
on what the
Yeah, yeah, I'm
epilogues
about
are?
to.
Because
So-
I
so
think a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think a lot of people on this podcast might know what Homestuck is because they met us.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was
But
assuming this. Don't worry.
epilogues are kind of less known
So
knowledge.
Homestuck ended after a lot of breaks and things, but it had its final chapter was like a 7-minute anime, right?
Fuck,
was
that
was
so
sick,
good.
right?
Yeah.
And it ended things, and there was like a few there was a few threads left unfinished.
I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like the 7-minute anime. It was like, man, that was kind of cool, but like not much happened in it.
Yeah,
It felt.
Well, it solves the physical ending, but it doesn't actually doesn't
The-
finish the,
Yeah.
storylines.
the
Look,
kind of-
again,
Yeah, look, it is
I'm
what it
going to
is.
say that I loved Act 7.
Yeah, which is the last one. That we're
Yeah,
talking about.
and I liked the Snapchat
The
epilogue.
Snapchats
That's what
I
was about to say.
love.
The Snapchats was the ending that we needed in it. It was like they've solved the big conflict, which is what 7 was.
Yeah.
The Snapchats were a way of so as I was saying,
Hey, you guys want to see the
7-minute
characters be happy?
7-minute anime, and then a series of Snapchats from the characters.
And when we say Snapchats, like not just like imitations of Snapchats, like Andrew
were
Hussey
originally
had like a
distributed through
real
Snapchat, yeah.
Snapchat account, and we got Snapchats from John Egbert.
Yeah, and so that
And the
was
other
a way of
crew.
saying here's what the gang's doing now that they've solved the problems.
Yeah, they're Snapchatting
which is a
you.
way of giving you a narrative. And again, because Homestuck was so experimental with format, right?
Yeah.
And Snapchat was big at the time, so
Yeah.
it was a really cool thing.
It definitely became. It was definitely more experimental in Act 6. There was like the bit with vines and.
Well, I mean, the whole thing, right? Homestuck was a new format of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Homestuck pushed what you could do with HTMLs in a comic format.
Yeah.
I say HTMLs.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So that was the ending, right? And and we occasionally would get a late Snapchat with some more things, and it was good, and people were generally happy with that because the Snapchats gave you here's the world that they're building now, And
Yeah.
you could still fucking do what you wanted with that. And that was important to the fan base.
And then
So
they
that's-
were, like, incorporated into the comic, so that after their, like, incredibly, like, artificial Snapchat lifespan had expired, you could, like...
You could still look at them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
And
great.
I have to emphasize how, like, satisfying they were. They were, like...
They
there was
were.
these little character threads and whatnot, and you see, like, characters in very nice relationships and whatnot.
Yeah. And, again, not
and-
every thread was...
No,
followed up.
it still had, like, you know, things going on but
But generally,
in a satisfying way.
people were happy with that, right?
Yeah.
There was obviously you'll never finish something in a way that everyone's happy with.
No, of course
and obviously
not.
Homestuck was big enough and long enough and honestly I'm going to say like good enough that it was not possible to finish it cleanly.
Also, the nature of Homestuck was that Andrew Hussey loved throwing out threads and ideas everywhere,
Yeah,
and they're just
following
not
some up,
elaborating or following up on them.
And like
Yeah.
some things would not be followed up for the bit.
Yeah, like, he
that's-
leaves
yeah.
himself, like, sort of loops that he can close into, like...
Yeah.
Like,
it's a,
continuous, like, thought-out things later.
in a way that I think ends up being quite skillful, right? It was beautifully done in a lot of ways, but yeah, so it was over. Because I'm sorry, I want to move on to the bit that I wanted with
by all
the
means.
epilogues. So a couple of years after that, the Homestuck Epilogues were released. Homestuck was a comic with like a few flash chunks.
Sure was.
The epilogues were almost entirely text, in a different, like they weren't the chat log format that Homestuck had been built through.
They were formatted like AO3, like...
Yeah, they were
fanfic
formatted like
sites.
fanfics, which was
Yeah.
intentional because again, Homestuck plays with the format, so this was
Yeah,
sort of like
yeah,
the
yeah.
fanfic arc, right? But it opens with a list of trigger warnings, which was this is in like
Yeah.
I recommend if you're going to read Homestuck, don't read the epilogues. Just don't. You don't have to.
Ones who've done Homestuck, of course.
Yeah, but like I just don't think it's worth reading the epilogues. Because it's
Sorry, if I can interject.
Yeah.
I feel like, or at least like the good faith conceit of the epilogues was to play with like canonicity and where like the boundaries of a story lie, and like can characters like who have reached the end of their relevant lifespans still contain within them like a cohesive narrative, if that makes any sense, and like really sort of like pushing the boundary between author and co-creator and fanfic writer and exploring that.
yeah, again, it's a neat concept. The issue was that Homestuck was done.
Yes.
And this
Also,
was not.
I believe it retconned all the Snapchats, right?
It retcons
did.
a lot of the Snapchats, yeah. So basically, the issue was what. So I personally think this is where Homestuck becomes like a thing that if you just have it end at the Snapchats and you don't read the epilogues, it's a more satisfying ending. And I don't consider the epilogues to be particularly good. There's a lot of
Most people
problems
don't
with them.
seem to
so,
be.
So anyway,
don't seem to consider them good.
one, they were not really actually an epilogue, right? That they were
They
were
are-
a prologue for Homestuck 2, which is
I've heard.
if it was called that initially, if it was here's the Homestuck 2 prologue, it would have been preferable. But it
and
was
like
still
it would have made sense for the conceit of Homestuck 2 as well.
Yeah.
Like it's launching the new narrative and like introducing like a new like set of like these are the
characters
like
and
overarching
Isn't
systems
the
and
deal with
thematics.
Homestuck 2 as well that it's just not good? Like, it's not even, like, bad. What I've heard,
Yeah.
I haven't read it, what I've heard is that it's not even bad in the sense of, like, you know, oh, it, like, ruins the characters, it changes them in ways, or the art's bad, or, like, the plot, like,
it doesn't-
like, or that it doesn't do what the fans want. It's just that, like,
The magic's not
fundamentally, it's not a fun story or
Yeah.
good story, it's just boring.
I
yeah,
like
look, that's that's subjective, right?
True.
the thing about Homestuck 2 is that at the end of Homestuck 1, and especially when you include the Snapchats, the characters kind of had their happy ending. Like, at least, especially for the kids, everything wasn't perfect, but they did get to live and rebuild society.
They had like they had a happy ending or like some kind of
it
purpose.
was positive.
It
Yes.
And you could see, like, them, like, going on to, like, build
Well,
what they were doing.
It wasn't that they had a happy ending; it's that the ending they had was that they're building a happy ending, which is
Yeah.
that's a good ending.
Yeah.
Sorry,
But, like, and the Snapchats imply that they do continue to do that. Like, not everything gets resolved in a way that's necessarily, like, happy, but there's an internal logic to it that makes sense and, like, usually feels earned. But the thing about starting a new story after that is that you have to make conflict happen. And in a story where, like, Cam, I'm going to ask you to not make noises with your ring into the microphone. In a story where you have, like, overcome the biggest bad, you have stopped the destruction of the universe, you kind of do have to, like, make something or someone the antagonist, and you have to create, like, conflict, both, like overarching, like, thematic conflict and also, like, interpersonal conflict, because, like, even if it's not the biggest deal of a story, interpersonal conflict is still, like, interesting and adds flavour to a narrative.
That's what the story is.
Yeah, and you do kind of have to, assassinate, or character assassinate someone to do that.
Yeah, well, unless you're adding someone new, but may I, though?
Yeah, by all means.
Because I think we're getting into what's the consequences are without going into what happens here, so...
Yeah.
So Homestuck 2...
Sorry, I've been trying to dance around what happens, because I don't quite know how much I'm allowed to spoil.
I'm going to give...
I don't think you should spoil too
warning
much
for the Homestuck epilogues here, but
Yeah.
basically opens with So, okay.
I don't think you should spoil too much about specific characters.
No, I won't. So it opens with a list of trigger warnings, which is half... It's a good mix of...
It runs the gamut from, like, bit to, like...
Yeah, well, it's
punishingly realistic.
Some of the trigger warnings are things that are, like, contextually jokes, right? And, like, yes, anything can be a valid trigger warning, but, like, this is a mass consumption media. We've read it. Some of those would put there as jokes, and some of them are very serious.
I think you can make the assumption
And also,
that
I'd like
very serious, very grim shit, and the mix of them meant that it was generally assumed, right, by people reading it at the time, that list was fake. That was a tasteless joke.
I'd like to point out, I've read the trigger warning list, and, like, the worst shit you can think of is on there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, like, sexual content, gore. It's like...
It's icky back there.
It's bad.
It
is bad.
It's like, okay, this is stepping on terrain that is, like, uncomfortable to read out of fucking nowhere for Homestuck, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's yeah, very... It's no good, but yeah, as I said, because of the context there, it was assumed by most of the audience that was a joke. A tasteless joke, sure, but, like, those things were not, like
Hussey
okay,
makes tasteless
not,
jokes
like,
sometimes.
Yeah, man, like, I don't like this joke. I don't think that these things should be equated as bits, and I don't... Yeah, whatever, but alright, let's read the content, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all stuff that happens. Characters that, like... characters that were villains in Homestuck, but were, like, again, fucking... Homestuck's a cartoon villains type villain situation, right? You've got characters who were... Or even characters that weren't, become, like, absolute monsters. Out of nowhere in Homestuck 2.
Yeah.
Or, like, in the epilogues, in a way that it's like, oh, okay, so it's not... I'm going to say Gamzee. I'm not going to say... Gamzee's a fun character to like in Homestuck. Because he's an evil clown that does murders when you're not looking. And like,
sometimes
whatever, right?
when you are looking.
Sometimes when you are looking as well, yeah. And he won't die, right?
Yeah.
That's Gamzee. We love Gamzee. He's just a little guy in there, right? No, it's not. Yeah, Homestuck Epilogues, it's no longer fun to think about Gamzee. It's like, oh, okay. Wish he was not around anymore.
I mean, that was...
It's just very, like...
They made the characters adults, and they wanted to confront adult problems.
Really grim ones.
Yeah!
And it's like, this is... Yeah, the tonal shift was jarring and unpleasant. It cemented a lot of things that people had, like, assumed were already canon as not canon.
Yeah.
It's got, like, it's the conceit of the epilogues is there's two timelines that can be picked as John goes to, like, tie up some of the loose ends from the main story. One of them is, like, the canon timeline, and one of them's the timeline where he just fucks around and does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And
It's supposed to be like a pick-your-own ending or something.
Well, it's not. It's more like... Well, because it does go into, like, the different...
Or it's playing on,
Yeah.
like, what is canonicity and...
Yeah, well, it sets up the playing on what is canonicity thing. It through, like, the lens of, like, in this timeline where he's just fucking around and not finishing things off, is that timeline real and important, and are the characters within it trapped there?
Yeah.
Which is, like, that as a concept I think is actually quite interesting, right?
Especially in the universe of Homestuck, where we, like, look at and we stay with Doom timelines a lot.
Like, but yeah, instead of taking that with, like, the Homestuck tone and Homestuck like content, it was it was not that.
They also format it in quite a strange manner, which I think if you're expecting it, could be, like, really interesting.
Well, you get the option of which one of them to read first, and I think there's a correct order to that.
Yeah.
Which
but
they don't tell you.
Even separate to that,
Yeah.
they're laid out a little bit weirdly, in a way that I think, like, probably actively confuses a non-insignificant portion of the people who've read the Homestuck Epilogues.
Man, Homestuck, after it ended, really kind of fucked up every single Homestuck, or fucked up most kind of
Well, in a way,
Homestuck projects that came after Homestuck.
Vince McMahon left WWE, went back in time to write the Homestuck Epilogues, and now he's out there somewhere in Middle America.
actually, I do think that the thing with the Homestuck Epilogues and Homestuck 2 that did work is that it ended Homestuck, right?
Yeah.
It gave a clear point where you can say, like, rather than, like, you know, you get content like fucking Star Wars where it's like, okay, here's a series they're going to make afterwards which is going to slowly burn all goodwill and fuck around and, like, 3 different directors for 3 movies. They don't talk about it. Whatever. And now they're, like, clawing their way back into people liking some of their content because there's people who like Star Wars making it again. Homestuck, you've got a clear point where you can be like, nah, you can just end it there. Just don't worry about stuff past that.
I really like it when things end. When they are... When
Endings
they're,
are
like,
really hard.
when the corpses of, like, beloved content isn't kind of, like, dragged around the pavilion for all to see and beaten to an inch of its life.
I mean, there's like a...
Yeah.
For Homestuck, like, Homestuck 2, it was supposed to be released monthly, and then people didn't like it, so they kind of shut it. I think, I heard...
Allegedly, it's all coming out all at once at some point.
At some point, but goddamn, do we actually trust it to actually happen? No.
Right, well, the thing is that nobody will mind.
I'd be kind of interested to see what it was, to be honest.
I feel like I'm gonna find out, like, 5 years from now. That
No,
the rest
20.
of Homestuck 2, like, dropped 10 months ago. And I'll be like, oh, I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, this Homestuck 2 also, it seems to be a different timeline to the Hive Swap games.
No,
Like, it doesn't seem the same.
The thing about Hive Swap is Hive Swap's a prequel. Hive Swap's set before Homestuck.
I didn't know that.
Homestuck's set in, like,
Surprise!
the 90s, I
No,
think.
sorry, I knew that, but I assumed it was like a timelines thing. Anyway,
Because, if you play Hive Swap Act 1...
I've played Act 1 only.
Act 1, there are characters from Homestuck
Yes.
in Hive Swap.
Yes.
Not directly, but they are referenced.
Yeah. It seemed like it was part of the same timeline in a way that doesn't gel with the epilogues, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have to finish it one day.
Who knows? They're just kind of stapling on, like, auxiliary media to Homestuck, and sometimes bits fall off.
Yeah.
The
It is what
epilogues.
it is.
Hive Swap's really good, apart from the fact that it's, like, taking forever to come out, and
It is what it
like
is,
the whole
yeah.
development was bungled a little
Yeah.
bit. But it is happening, and
Yeah, they've got 2 acts out.
yeah, there are 2. 3 has been confirmed. We've seen art for it.
Nice.
3 confirmed, hooray!
They are working on
Coming
it.
this year in 2012.
No, it's not.
And
coming
like
out
the
this year.
Friend Sims were also good.
Hive
for
Swap
fleshing
Friend
things
Sim just
out.
it came out of nowhere and it was really good.
Like, I don't mind spin-offs
Pester Quest?
if they are not fucking about with the core things that were built.
Yes.
Right? So, like, spin-offs that are good, let the thing that is good stay good, and sometimes they flesh out under-fleshed out bits, and sometimes they emphasize bits. But at the end of the day, they leave it the fuck alone.
Can I talk about backdoor pilots for a second?
I don't know what that is, but yes.
Yeah, me neither.
So, a backdoor pilot is when you have an episode,
Oh,
an
yeah.
interstitial episode in the middle of a show that is setting up a spin-off. Sometimes the main characters of, like, the original, the proto show won't even be there, and it'll just be the spin-off episode, but sometimes they'll make, like, a cursory appearance just so they can say, I
This is still
promise
an
you
episode
it's
of
still the
original
show.
thing. Yeah.
But it's meant to also, like, serve as the pilot or, like, the proof of concept for a secondary show.
Yeah.
The one that comes to mind is the one in Supernatural, where Charlie, famous nerd Charlie, meets Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, and they
What?
go to Oz and have gay adventures together.
That spin-off never happened, did it?
No, it didn't. I wonder why.
Is there any other examples of that? The
Oh,
one where they
they're
call Saul.
around. Yeah, like Saul was okay. Better Call Saul. The thing with Better Call Saul is that it was fucking good.
Yeah, like
It didn't fuck about with Breaking Bad for one.
That's what I hear.
it wasn't the same tone as Breaking Bad,
No.
and it didn't need to be the same tone as Breaking
No,
Bad.
it was a different story. It was a spin-off with a different
And
tone.
like the writers were smart enough to know where they needed to end and stick that landing.
Yeah. Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul both really shine because they knew how long they were going to be.
Yeah.
They had an ending planned, and they were going to a destination, which meant
Yeah.
that you could really write towards something.
Yeah,
they
God,
were in Destin. Breaking Bad was in danger of being cancelled a couple of times.
Yes. But they didn't let that stop them from having a destination.
Yeah.
fucking hate the kind of season
looming-
renewal cancellation
Yeah.
thing, because you get seasons that don't end. They then build. They don't just. They aren't like
the looming
built
headsman's
in.
axe forces
They're
them into
always
a fucking...
no. It's
Yeah.
like the thing is. TV shows expect to have more seasons these days, so they build stuff up to have the next season, and then like fucking half of them get cut. It feels like.
Yeah.
So you get
So many unfinished
you get
stories
like
everywhere.
seasons that are not satisfying themselves because they always end with a build up to the next season, right? And then you just have to hope that there's a next season.
So I think the only like passable reason, like the shows that shine now are the shows that like are good for their first season, right?
Yeah.
Because they've been written for this is one season of content.
Well, especially in like the age of streaming, I
Yeah.
think it's at least been confirmed by Netflix that a 2-season show is like
The
the most profitable. Like
Yeah.
that is the like peak of profitability.
Yeah. Like, well, the thing is, right? A show that is written for one season can be written quite well for one season,
Yeah.
and that will do well enough that they'll renew it for a second season,
Just
which
like
doesn't
Riverdale.
fucking need it.
Yeah.
Whereas a show that is written to be 5 seasons long, I don't think that's ever a good idea, right?
No.
I don't like writing a show intentionally to be 5 seasons long is so very, very hard to pull off. Like again,
Yeah.
Breaking Bad did
Especially
it, but
now.
barely, and yeah,
Like
now you can't.
shows, especially like story or like drama or prestige TV shows. So like your like big dramas, your like Breaking Bad, your West Wings, like the ones that
Your
came
Game of
out.
Thrones.
Yeah, your Game of Thrones, things that came out like sorta
10
like
years-ish ago.
yeah, 2007 to about 2012, I would call the golden age of prestige TV. Asterisk. Don't quote
Yeah, no,
me on
totally
that.
fair.
They knew that like if like the first episode was big enough that like there was a market for people who would want shows like that, so they could safely be renewed for a couple of seasons at a time. But now, especially with streaming, because no one's buying DVDs, you don't have that sort of like
The show
secondary
doesn't make
like
money
yeah,
anymore.
like
Beyond,
economic
yeah.
propulsion. Streaming makes like fractions of the money that like TV broadcast does. You can't like afford to like greenlight multiple seasons in advance.
Yeah.
And if there's no hook to draw people into a next season, people won't be interested. You won't get that engagement on
And
Twitter.com.
so, yeah,
Yeah.
people are trapped writing shows which are designed to be unsatisfying in the hopes that people will like
You know
scream.
what
Exactly.
really has annoyed
I'm-
me
I'm-
about that, like recently,
What?
is that we're ending up with sort of like offset seasons in which the season finale will be at like episode 18 of a 20 episode series, and then 19 and 20 will be building up the next season.
Exactly.
And then you'll like go the next season up to episode like 18, it will finish, and then 19 and 20 will be like building up a theoretical third season.
I'm sick of.
And it fucking irks me, man.
I'm sick of. Yeah. I'm sick of like
this
shows
one, the
expecting
Gripecast,
multiple
huh?
seasons.
Gripes.
I'm sick of shows expecting multiple seasons and like.
Fuck you, write a good
Like,
story.
it's not even. Yeah, it's not even. It feels like I'm not watching 2 seasons. It feels like I'm watching a season that you then cut off halfway, and I have to
Yeah.
wait for the rest
Well,
of
I
it.
mean,
Right?
a lot of it is that again, people aren't making shows because they want to be making the shows anymore.
Exactly.
Like
People,
you can
yeah,
tell
are
when they
making
are and they
adaptions.
stand out.
I think the one that
People
keeps
have to
coming
make
up in
money,
my
yeah.
mind
Yeah.
is Arcane. Have either of you watched Arcane?
I keep
I saw a
meaning
little
to.
bit of
It's
it. The animation's really nice,
it's-
but I'm also scared.
It's based on League of Legends lore. It is really fucking good. It's like 9 episodes long. It's a really good show.
I have heard almost exclusively good things.
Yes, it's
It's good despite
fantastic.
being League of Legends
but
lore.
it only has 1 season out. season 2 was confirmed, but the end of season 1 is like a complete like cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Which
It has to
like
be.
it
Yeah, I
has
know.
to be to get you watching season 2. It feels like it's not a
Yeah.
complete season, right?
Well, it's that it's not being written for the audience, right? It's being written for the people who greenlight shows. So it's not that like only spin-offs are being made, although that's a lot of it. It's that if somebody's passionate about a project,
Yeah.
chances are they don't have the resources to make that happen.
What things have to be like guaranteed moneymakers now.
Yeah.
You have to already know exactly where that audience is coming from
Yeah.
because you can't afford to pour money into a project that
And, like,
won't turn any
It's
revenue.
rare to get gems within that, right?
Can
like,
you
there are a
guys
couple-
remember the last new thing you saw that wasn't an adaptation or spin-off or new?
Ooh.
Ooh, what do you mean
Not an
by
adaptation either. That's harder.
so like
Yeah.
so Arcane doesn't count because it's set in like a
yeah, it's an
existing
adaptation of a
universe.
thing.
Yeah, can you guys remember the last new thing that you
Like watched on like a movie, right?
Watched
Like,
or read
watched
or
read or anything?
I mean,
No,
the last
can't.
thing I read was Scott Pilgrim, and I
Yeah.
don't think that counts as that.
For you,
that
like,
Ken,
that was original,
I think
yeah.
it
that's
would've been Lord
original
of
and
the
new, but it's
Rings.
also 15 years old. 17.
Oh, okay. So I'm allowed to say like things.
I think you're allowed to say like an older thing.
Oh,
More
But
okay.
like also if you include like a new thing that came out.
I mean, like I would say in terms of any kind of books, I don't think that like
Yeah.
I don't think those count, right? So
Yeah, let's
Lord of the Rings wouldn't
let's
be
go
it.
shows and movies only.
Yeah, sure. Shows and movies only.
Yeah.
I think King of the Hill is the only show that it's the only thing that I've been consistently
This
watching
was, and that's
lately.
old, yeah.
Yeah, King of the Hill was 99 to 2008.
I mean, like fucking Breaking Bad, which
Yeah,
we watched
Breaking
recently.
Bad.
Breaking Bad would probably be it, honestly.
It's hard for me. I'm not counting video games either.
Yeah.
I don't watch too many shows
No,
or
that's
movies,
fair.
so it's a little hard. It would have probably
Video
been a
games-
screaming of like something.
Yeah, video games are interesting as a medium because I think like we're still like quite fresh into what like the medium can accomplish.
Definitely.
You get
And like you have plenty of adaptions of video games, but I think, or at least from my perspective, most of those, like, most adaptions are kind of like sequels to other
Yeah.
things. Like most of the like adaptions from like books or movies, I would say, are like universally regarded as bad shovelware.
yeah. Not always, but a lot of it is, yeah. Like
Yeah.
video games, I think mostly have this problem at the highest level. So like your AAA games are all
Sequels.
they're
They're all
all
sequels.
or they're
Yeah.
Looking at you, Call of Duty.
or they're made by like for an existing franchise by an existing
A
company
lot
that
of
does
there's
well or something.
there's a lot of like big games which are the same game every year almost.
Yeah.
Though
Hell, like the game I've been having most fun with lately, Vermintide, is the third
Darktide,
Sorry,
you mean?
sorry, Darktide, which is it is Vermintide 3 functionally, right? It's set in 40K instead of Warhammer Fantasy, but it's the same basic gameplay idea. Like it's a Left 4 Dead,
Yeah.
and it's in an existing setting by a company that's made 2 of this game already, but now it's in a new place that people like more. Like some people like fantasy more, but like 40K is unquestionably a lot more popular.
it's on a positive side, I think those kind of games that like keep getting made over and over, they're just kind of
They are.
I know. I
perfecting
feel
a
like
thing.
they are
right?
perfecting, but there's also I don't know. I feel like you do still see creativity and
do.
pushing boundaries in
Yeah.
there. Like the new
It's
Pokemon
like-
games,
It's
right?
not
They're
bad,
going
but it
open
is
world
a
and
new
whatnot.
Creativity.
I've heard they're pretty good.
The new Pokemon games are a nightmare in a few ways, though.
Like they're very buggy. I've heard.
Buggy as hell. They're also crunch nightmares. Pokemon is specifically is pushing out more games than they can sustain.
Okay, I think the Pokemon game is
the games
is
themselves are
epitomus
unique
of a
things.
good thing in that they are trying new things, and
Oh,
of the worst thing in the gaming industry of
The
the
other
crunch.
issue with Pokemon is that because of the way that their teams are structured, you get like a season of games for that. So you've got this season's the Violet and Scarlet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll add a few new things to this one, like things that are like, okay, so there's some new things added to this game that would be cool if you saw them carry forward, but they won't.
Yeah.
Right? They're stuck with like their development cycles are too short. They don't get time to see what things work, and so each game is disconnected from the last season now. Whereas like you used to
It
get
feels
a
like
lot
there
of
was like a
backwards
clear
capacity. Yeah.
progression in like the older ones, which is not to say that I've like played a lot of Pokemon, but like I don't know, they seem connected in a way that like the new ones aren't, especially because they're phasing out a ton of Pokemon.
They're phasing out Pokemon. They're like removing or replacing mechanics. Like each new like
Welcome
season.
to this
I'm just
year's
gonna call them
brand new
seasons.
evolution.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's the gimmick for this one, right? So Sword and Shield had your big Pokemon gimmick.
I
where
kind of
the
like.
Pokemon get big now, and
I
like
know.
that's
I
fine.
kind of like
Yeah.
like Mega Evolution. Was
Mega
pretty
Evolution
cool.
was cool. No, Mega Evolution was cool, and you know what? Mega Evolution was supported, right?
Yeah.
It worked. They did it for a good few seasons. Like that was I would say, the last big mechanic that they stuck with.
They make it big. They
Mega
make
Evolution
it large.
was like, well, it was like you can once per
Gigantamax.
fight, one of your Pokemon can evolve again, right?
Yeah.
And then they added Z moves, which was with Mega Evolutions, and was like a separate thing. It's an item you can give to a Pokemon that lets them do one move, and that was considered too swingy, right? That was like, okay, that's one thing that you can do that does way more than everything else you do once, which is not great for a meta game. So they got rid of that, but they also got rid of Mega Evolution, which trapped them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now they can't bring it back easily, but they also can't use that so they can't like add a couple Mega Evolutions here or there. They've trapped themselves.
The other game I was thinking of that like is kind of the same game but does have these kind of improvements is Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed was a lot of the same game.
Yeah.
They made Black Flag, which was like this piratey
Black
game.
Flag was the last one I heard really good things
It was
about.
really good.
Yeah.
Apparently, they made these things, and then they kind of made a lot of Black Flag likes and some other.
Yeah.
They tried experimenting with like Syndicate and whatnot, and then they made like I think Origins, which is like the kind of Egypt one. It was more like an RPG and like more historically focused and very good apparently. And they kept going with that formula with like Odyssey and Valhalla. So it seems like it's one of those
They've
franchises.
found a new formula
Yeah.
that works again.
Yeah, they
Odyssey
did
was
it
the
again.
one
'Cause
you
really-
could be gay in, and Valhalla was the one you could be gender fluid in, and that's all I've heard about Assassin's Creed.
Well, because the early Assassin's Creed games were like a new thing, right? Or at least they were the first successful like of that model. So
Yeah.
you get your they were like they were collectathons in a way. Like it's a Banjo Kazooie, but with a very different tone, obviously, in a new system. They weren't the best at that though, really. Like the Assassin's Creed model got done better by other games that off the top of my head I don't remember. But like they were the biggest one for a while, but it became very samey very quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm glad they've adapted to something else that works again. God, I would love to see a quick brief, like a short video on like where the story went, because boy, that was going some places.
Assassin's Creed story. Who
Like,
the
you
fuck
got
I
knows?
heard that
into
the
your,
story
like-
got Nightmare like ruined, but whatever. I
Yeah.
don't care.
You got into your ancestors' memories. I
Yeah.
think, was
So you're
was
getting
the
into your
Yeah.
ancestors' memories to prevent like a world-ending event, or like to protect the world from a world-ending event.
Yeah.
But yeah, that storyline got fucking brutalized at some point.
The last one I played was Odyssey, and before that, the last one I played was like, that was kind of the first Assassin's Creed I played a lot of. I had another one when I was like younger and like late primary school or something. But in that one, I don't know, the whole story, like where you're a person going back in time, is like it's kind of tied down a bit. Also, there is definitely like aliens.
Yeah, well,
I
aliens
think.
is always a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's kind of. Is Assassin's Creed sci-fi?
Yes, hard
Yeah.
Yes, right?
No, absolutely it is. Like from
Yeah, I would
day
have thought
one,
the
yes.
memory stuff would have made it sci-fi.
Yeah, it's sci-fi.
I'm
There's
honestly-
like aliens.
It's funny because I think at this point, were you to make Assassin's Creed, you wouldn't bother with that set dressing. You'd just be doing the stuff in the past.
Yeah.
The whole like you're getting into a machine and like living your ancestors' memories thing. Weirdly, like they made that the setup for the games, but it really feels like in general because part of it's also that the guy that you were playing as there, nobody gave a shit about him because it was
yeah.
less interesting. Nobody cared about him. It's like, why am I? Just make the game about the ancestors. They're the ones doing
I
shit.
appreciate in Odyssey there was a lot less of it. Like it was very de-emphasized.
Yeah, well, it has
there was
to
a
be,
lot
'cause it's
less
just
of
not-
times of just walking around a fucking office.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There seeed to be like some character conflict and whatnot
The
in that.
Odyssey.
But like
To the break room.
the Valhalla, the break room.
Because yeah, like the because each of the characters that you play out, like the past characters, the ancestors, they have their own like self-contained story that they're living through, which has occasional hints at a meta plot that you can see as the like future guy, and that shit's like it's okay, but it really is a separate thing to the actual game you're playing.
Yeah, it seems like a very delineated thing.
It's like you're running around in Ezio's memories, and there's occasionally glitches that you can see, which have like stuff in them.
Huh.
And it's like, well, Ezio couldn't see that, though. That's purely
Yeah, that's
you
just for me.
looking at. That's for you, the future guy. And it's like the games almost feel like they would be better if you just didn't have that, which is very fucking.
I don't know.
weird.
For some reason, I'm really attached to like having this thing. Like,
Yeah.
I can't just. You're playing a dude in the past. I don't know.
But like, had they never done that from the start, right? Because obviously, once
Yeah,
they started,
yeah.
they have to keep going
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah.
right? And like, you're right.
Yeah,
If they
you
got rid of
can't
it now,
just
it'd be
drop
fucked
that.
up, right? But if they'd never done it, if it was just about Assassins v Templars from day one, and you just had to explore that through each of the through Altair and
Yeah.
then through Ezio, right?
Wait, is the first one about fucking Templars?
No.
The Templars are the bad guys.
Yeah, Templars are the bad guys. It's Assassins v Templars. all
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And the only one I played before playing Odyssey was the one which flips the script by you become a Templar.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's-
Assassin's Creed Rogue. It's the one that came after Black Flag.
I'm
It's set in like
Templar?
North America.
It's not Rogue though.
No, it is Rogue.
Is it Rogue? Is that what
Yeah,
it's called?
Rogue. Rogue.
sure?
Yes, it is Rogue. I played it. The thing about it is I played a bunch of it, and I never actually got to the bit where I joined the Templars.
I played a bit of that. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
no.
it wasn't because it just didn't. I don't know, I didn't vibe with it.
Yeah, I didn't play too much of it either, so...
Some part of it is also it's like being in a tree-filled environment really doesn't hit the same as being in a city for assassin
There's
work.
kind of like
I feel
cities,
like you
but...
can do just like more dynamic stuff with a cityscape than you can do in a forest.
Like the Venice city density works really well compared to
yeah.
even a major town like
Yeah.
in North America at the time was just not as
Yeah.
it's different.
Because, like, you can kind of emulate, like, the up and down and, like, the claustrophobic nature of a city in a forest, but I feel like the kind of inherent vibe is different, and that
Yeah.
lends so much to, like, how you play the game and why you're playing it, and, like, the kind of Ludo narrative of it.
I think part of it is also that, like, boy, sure, like the American the America setting is interesting politically, and there's characters and like the progression. You had to go there eventually, right? But fucking Venice has nice buildings to climb. Venice has some sick views and some very like cool architecture. That was missing.
Interesting.
The American architecture is not the same. It's like, yeah, you get
Yeah.
your colonial American architecture. It's just buildings, man.
Well,
America, is very, very young, and that makes it less cool as a setting.
Well, it's
Well,
also like
How do you feel about Black Flag being so popular? Because that was...
To be fair, I haven't played Black Flag.
Yeah, because
Both.
theoretically, right, there's probably not as many...
Yeah,
Because the thing I heard about Rogue
Well,
is
that's
it was
the one
kind
with
of
Andy
like...
Samberg,
mechanically,
right?
it was identical to Black Flag. It was just kind of different setting, different story.
Black Flag did add the boats system, you know.
Boats,
which
it
is
added a
pretty
bunch
cool.
of other stuff.
If you laughed at that joke, thank you.
I'm sorry.
What was your
No,
joke?
that's okay. No, that's
was
a
your joke?
That's a secret for
You'll
later.
hear it
listeners.
later.
No,
You'll hear it
repeat
on
it
the
to
reread.
me.
No.
I'm bulldozing this one. But okay, so like, okay, of cities I would like to go to in real life and just to look at the buildings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Boston is
Boston.
not one of them, and if it was, it would be like, you know,
I'm going to
like,
tell the city of Boston that.
it's fight me, Boston. They'll do it too.
If you
maybe
were
I can
from
finally
where
be
I was
killed
from,
by
you'd be
people from
fucking
Boston.
dead.
Yeah, I would. American insulin costs are insane. But yeah, like fucking climbing around on like Rome and Venice buildings, right? That's not only is like, oh, those are buildings that I would like to see, right? In terms of like, you know, like it's a better experience than fucking Google Mapsing around like
Yeah.
those buildings. And like, not only can you see them in a way that you're interacting with, but you can fucking climb them. You're not allowed to do that. That's fucking sick, right? Like that's an experience that game was giving you. Like that's a historical relevance. That's you are looking at architecture up close.
And you're fucking up by climbing it.
Well, like, and it's in like a better condition because it's more recent at the time, right? That's I hate to say it, but that's educational value in a way that you really can't do on
So
purpose.
you're saying
Yeah.
that the secret of Assassin's Creed success is architecture and educational value?
Well, I'm saying if you're going to be climbing shit, that shit better be interesting.
Yeah. Also, like, American streets are usually not always, because you do have like alleys and like
Allies.
little thoroughfares, but most American streets are built wide enough that you could turn a horse and carriage around in them, because
Yeah.
that is like that
They're
was
so
just
open.
necessary for transportation. But a lot of like the like very, very big European cities like Florence,
They're so
Venice,
dense.
Milan, London, Paris, like not so much the big main thoroughfares now, because obviously everyone's
Cars.
adapted to cars, but like a lot of those back streets are like tiny, and you are like rubbing shoulders with the buildings
And
as
they're
you walk through
tall
them.
about it as well, because they
Yeah.
have to build up for density reasons. Whereas American Colonialist, it's, people are fucking settling. They can build out. They don't
Yeah.
need to go up. And so it was very short buildings and very, like, underwhelming climbs, in my opinion, right? Anything that was, like, a nice climb to do would have had to be on rock faces, which is, like, it's
Yeah.
not as interesting.
That's not
Yeah.
the Assassin's Creed. That's
Well,
not
not
Grabbing
Horizon Zero
windows
Dawn.
and
Like,
I don't know.
rock climbing has existed for a while. Assassin's Creed popularized parkour.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Like the fantasy of parkour, right, is a lot more satisfying and cool than the fantasy of rock climbing.
Like, playing an Assassin's Creed game in a modern setting could almost be really fucking cool if you pick the right city with, like,
I mean, that's
buildings
just
that are
Mirror's
neat to
Edge.
climb. Mirror's Edge, Mirror's Edge was not
Nah, I'm
that,
just kidding.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't know, I
When
feel
do
like
you get
going
to kill
to
in Mirror's
America
Edge?
was...
When do you get to thrash anything?
You
New
do
York-
get to kill.
okay.
You get like guns and shit. You can
Oh,
kill
well.
guards.
Assassin's,
It's just like the worst part of the game because no one plays Mirror's Edge as an FPS. People want to play it because of the parkour.
Assassin's Creed New York could
Hey,
work, right?
New York.
You got a lot of fucking interesting buildings, architecture and stuff. You got density. You got, shit to do. At least, like, in terms of gameplay, the issue is that New York's a nightmare. It's too big.
Yes.
I'm from New York. I'm an FBI
also-
agent. I work for the Assassins.
The verticality can only take you so far. Like, there's only so high you can climb before you're just fucking about.
Yeah, I think the thing about
Like, even in
if you
Venice,
want to
some
play
buildings-
Assassin's Creed in New York, play a goddamn Spider-Man game.
Yeah, no, actually, you're fucking
I
right.
hear
Yeah,
really good
exactly,
things
right?
about the
Like,
new Spider-Man
just
games.
that's what Spider-Man games are. Just Assassin's Creed for New York. You climb up buildings. You're like doing parkour. Because the thing about New York buildings is they're too far apart and
Yeah.
big for you to like jump across
But
them.
that's what Spider-Man
But that's what
sold.
Spider-Man's for.
You
He
could
does,
okay.
He does
And
the
you're a
thing where he shot
vigilante.
web.
You're like doing.
Assassin's Creed New York could work if you were using my favorite Evangelion boss fight,
Grappling hooks.
Chest High Fog.
Oh.
So so Evangelion is a boss fight game. I'm jumping here.
Sorry,
Evangelion's
for
not a
context, Ken's
game?
talking about Evangelion the RPG.
Yeah, sorry, Adeptus Evangelion, which is the RPG for playing Evangelion. So, you know, kids fighting in giant robots, it's a boss fight game. You fight a big fucking monster every couple of sessions. My favorite one I've made is basically starts by having a layer of chest high to a giant robot fog cover the entire zone wherever you're planning on doing the fight, right? And so it can travel freely through that. You can't see through the fog layer. And it's a layer at chest height. But going through the fog layer blinds you for a bit. So it's toxic fog. And this means that you can split the party up in that area by... Some of you have ducked below the fog, some of you are standing above the fog. And the angel does trip attacks.
Ooh. That's cool.
And like dive bombs from above. So it's a neat encounter. It's got a lot of like interesting encounter design. Is a fucking
Yeah.
big deal to me. But yeah, so that's
They call him Mr. Encounter.
so if you
you
had
encounter
New
him,
York,
ask him about
but
his
there's only
encounters.
so high you can climb, that would work. Like New York, but if you go past this height, the game you die. Fuck it.
That sounds.
That's
That
not
sounds.
fair.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna be.
it's
I'm gonna
like-
be honest. That sounds like it sucks. I don't want to accidentally climb too high on
Oh,
like one building
it's
and then
very
just die.
obvious. Don't worry. It's like you
How
can see the fog.
obvious? The buildings are the same. You're just gonna have like a red barrier.
Oh, it's the fog.
The fog. It's just constantly foggy in New York, but only
you
above
have
a
to
certain.
justify it. But
Yeah,
it's
you
like there's
know.
a layer of dense fog at this height, and if you go in it, you die.
Yeah, the chest high fog in New York.
I feel
we've
like
all
at
seen
that
it.
point, because of the fog, you're not seeing the buildings. And then, like, why are you in New York? You're ruining the skyline, Cam. Do you not care about?
I don't care about the
He
skyline.
flipped
You're
me
right.
off.
I
He
did.
flipped
I did
me
flip you off.
What? Okay.
What I'm saying
you're more a
is
Sim
the
City kind
problem
of person, not a city skylines. God
No,
damn
yeah,
it.
like as in, New York would be interesting, but you're right. The buildings are too tall, and there's no point climbing forever. If you were to make it so that people,
But
would not
I want to
try and
get
do
to
that.
the top point.
All right, fuck it. Spend
Where are
3
you
hours
getting?
climbing, it's
Where are
fine.
you getting the trailer images of them being at the very top of the Empire State Building if there's a fucking fog there, huh?
I mean,
how are they
all
selling
right.
copies of
Okay,
Assassin's
man.
Creed New York
All
or
right.
fucking Assassin's? What are they?
No, you're
what are
right.
they calling
I'm gonna make
the?
this fit with Assassin's
What are they
Creed.
calling the New York Assassin's Creed?
So it starts with a
Assassin's
it starts
Creed.
You'd never forget.
Assassin's Creed Stockbroker, Assassin's
The
Creed
runoff was
American
so-
Psycho.
So it starts with this one set in the modern day in Assassin's Creed, and it opens with that big fucking alien spaceship disc, just cutting all the buildings off a certain height, and they just fall down. So you can still climb them, but they're sideways. now.
Also, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's
That's
actually
sideways terrain.
We need more apocalyptic
Assassin's
New York
Creed
where
Alien
all the
Invasion could be sick.
Yeah.
That's what the
Assassin's
A in
Creed,
AC
any
stands
building over
for.
a certain
Alien.
height just
Yeah.
got tipped over.
Assassin's Creed, but it's also set in
Assassin's Creed
London
Dominoes.
during that episode of Doctor Who where they cut
Also,
off the top
Cam-
of Big Ben with a spaceship.
Cam, I still think if you're cutting down the buildings in New York, that's what's the point of being New York? You can just be in. That's basically Boston at that point.
Well, so I mean, like the point of New York is that the buildings that aren't that tall are the interesting ones usually.
yeah,
with a
but
couple
like
of exceptions.
but once you get out all the tall buildings, every city is like that.
Okay, so my reason for doing this is that like if you let people climb the tallest buildings, they're not going to have any fun.
Cam, you are a terrible game designer. Like,
Yes, I don't.
what is
design
the
games.
point of going to the city with the big buildings if you're like, no, you can't join?
I wasn't
do the build-
okay because I'm not here about the big. I'm talking about like the low level architecture. I'm talking
Okay,
about the
also
dense parts
here's
of New
the
York,
thing,
small, old
right?
buildings.
Here's the thing, Cam. If the player isn't going to have fun by climbing the big buildings, perhaps they climb the big building, be like, this wasn't that interesting or fun, and then they just don't do it again.
No, like straight up, no. People don't. People aren't good at that. Like, people will see the Empire State Building and go, "I am going to climb that."
Yeah, they will climb it, and they'll be like, cool, I climbed it.
Yeah,
I'm not
dude,
going to do
dude,
this
okay.
again.
Have you? When was the last time you played an Assassin's Creed game?
It's like last year.
Right. Do you think a jumping puzzle that long would be any fun at all, or would it be a straight climb? Because tell me that would be more fun. No, that would be less.
I'm a jumping puzzle fan, so
Spider-Man works for it,
Yeah.
but like, I think. Oh, I'm not. Yeah.
Here's my query, though. If you were going to do an Assassin's Creed set in Perth, pitch that to me.
yeah, okay. Pitch the Perth
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed.
It's me, Johnny Game Developer.
Johnny Games.
Yeah, Johnny Games.
developer
I'm
of
the
the-
father of all games.
All
Pitch
games.
to I want Assassin's Creed Perth.
All right. So
I think
you'd
that'll
want to use
sell.
the subterranean vampire catacomb.
Yes.
What?
Are the vampire catacombs underneath the church?
What, the church?
There's
The
a
Perth Cathedral.
there's
Okay,
a there's
yeah.
a lookout point that you can like scan the area and open up the mini map on top of the war memorial. Where do you, there's like you get boat, but like it's
You
just
would
to
need
go
a
to
car.
Rottnest.
It's Perth.
You get boat and you just go to Rottnest.
Assassin's Creed, but it's also a little bit of GTA, and you just drive
No,
around.
You get to
Straight
like
up.
ride on top of a car and then like jump off and like stab someone.
Like the thing with
That could be
Perth
cool.
is
that
like,
could be cool.
boy, this is a city that was built with the expectation you have a car, and like you can live in Perth without a car, but it involves a lot of fucking either public transport or walking very long. It's the least dense place there is.
Yeah, like I know, like
for
a
a-
few people without cars. They are struggling.
Yeah, in that like you, it's so you want to go to like somewhere. That's a long travel time. You'd need a car in the game.
Oh, 20-minute drive? Try 3 hours on the bus.
Like even like you could if you were to
Assassin's
cut just
Creed
the
traffic.
Okay, if you had like just the CBD and like a little bit of Kings Park.
Yeah.
all right,
No,
you could
it'd
do
be
it.
like the whole. It'd be like the whole city. It's
No, fuck that.
no you.
Bad game.
Assassin's Creed, but you have to
Assassin's
take the bus
Creed
to your
Odyssey has like
assassinations.
multiple countries in it.
Sure.
Like
All right. To be fair, I haven't played the most recent ones, but how much of it is like? All
they're,
right,
they're
I'm just
fucking
going to...
big maps.
Yeah, but do you like just fast travel though?
Well,
You
once you
can.
unlock fast travel points, yeah, but other than that, you have to like
Okay.
brave this.
Controversial opinion: fast travel points are for cowards, and a game where you use them has failed you.
Yeah, I like to go.
Well,
to,
you don't
like,
have
walk.
to.
Yeah.
Like you use a horse. Wait. Okay, instead of like whistling to your horse, you whistle to your automated car.
Like, okay, Assassin's Creed games are notorious for this problem anyway.
Yeah,
in
no,
that
okay. The
level
Witcher
design-
4, but Geralt just has like a really shit like Ford Fiesta that
Yeah,
he
perfect.
whistles to summon.
Okay, so like the Assassin's Creed games, the collectathon games like that have the issue of like no game in the real world or in like a modern setting or even historical settings
Or at
will
home or
ever
on the
be as
bus.
good at level design as Banjo-Kazooie.
What?
So if you're trying to navigate Venice on foot, you are fucked. Have you
Yes.
lived in Venice your whole life? Right? No. You are
No,
fucked then,
no.
right? So what are you going to do? You're going to look at the mini-map, and you're going to go the direction it tells you to go. Pretty much straightforward. You'll teleport as close as you can. You're going to walk the direction the map says.
Yeah, just like a tourist would.
Just like a tourist would, right?
I know. Sometimes I
Because
do
you-
play open world games
Oh,
and
you-
I do this like travel because
Sure,
it's fun.
you can, but like even then you're traveling like the direction the map's telling you, and if you're exploring a place, you've made a conscious decision to explore that place, right?
Okay.
Whereas, so Banjo-Kazooie, the levels are built so that you don't need a map. Like, that game didn't have a mini-map of any kind, or a map. could just remember, like, because the levels were distinct and built with like the level design in mind, you could find stuff, and that's important.
True.
I don't know.
I don't
a lot
know.
of modern games suffer with
But
this.
is Banjo-Kazooie an open world game?
Yes. Hard yes.
What?
The world is smaller. Like it's similar to like I would say it is an open world game in that it plays exactly like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Well, that's
In
not
fact,
the
no, I would say
definition
it is-
of an open world
Yeah, sure,
game.
but okay, in that it plays more open world than Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed has like your distinct like levels that are not open world. Right?
This I've searched up Banjo-Kazooie map.
That's not an in-game map though.
No, but it does look like just a. It seems like it's a series of, like,
Distinct zones.
yes, but they're kind of like there's one center zone and then they just lead off into lines of the zone.
So yeah, there's like a hub zone, and then there's like doors that you unlock to go to like new places, right?
Yeah,
But that's again like that's intentional and is part of the level design. So it's like you see a door that's one of the first doors you see is way more expensive than you can.
yeah,
get
but
to.
the thing is,
Question.
this doesn't feel open world. This just feels like you can go back and level. Like, from what I'm looking at, it feels like each door, like, it either just goes to a place and it's just there, or that door then just goes to another place, which then goes to another place. Like, it's level which is connected to another level, not an open world map.
Question. Why is the level design of Banjo-Kazooie the same as Pentonville Jail? And can you play Pentonville Jail as an open world game? Let's discuss.
Okay, I guess what is an open world game then? Because like, is Pokemon an open world game?
I mean, the new ones, yeah, sure.
Right, because they have the same roots.
I
You might have like a shortcut here and there.
yeah
but you got
yeah.
roots.
It kind of depends on, like, you know,
Is
like
open world about not being on a grid, or
is
it about-
open. I feel like the thing you got to get to with open world is loading screens.
Oh, Banjo-Kazooie is very clever about that.
It's like the game I'm thinking of, like MMOs like Guild Wars 2 or WoW. They have like large.
Transitional zones for loading. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they have
the
large
traits.
worlds, but like all of them are kind of like separate areas which you have to load into.
Yeah,
Right. So are they open worlds?
I think yes.
I think
Okay.
what I'm realizing now is that I don't know what an
I think-
open world game is.
I think
I
think
thought
we're
the
all
Breath of the
realizing-
Wild
Well, so, like,
was,
okay,
but I
okay.
don't know anymore.
I think we're all
I think
realizing
an open
that.
world game is a game where like you are put on a map and you can fucking go anywhere on that map and explore it and find the things in it, right? Like, so as
I would
opposed to
probably
say
agree with that, yeah.
a game that is linear about things where you're like, okay, here's your mission, you're doing this thing, here's the path. And even if there's like side
Yeah.
paths and things, it's not an open world, you're in a contained zone.
Yeah. As opposed to, say, like Temple Run, where the goal is you go fast down the line.
Yeah, well,
And
not
sometimes
like that.
you
Like,
turn
I
inside.
think the only open world game is Microsoft Flight Simulator or GeoGuessr.
well, like, okay, Dark Tide's not an open world game, even though you can like run around freely.
Microsoft Flight Simulator, because it's the only one that has the whole world and you can go anywhere.
Google Maps.
I don't know. I
Google
think
Ma-
this is like
Google Earth,
We have
the
to
only
answer the question
open
of what
world,
is an open world game
because
like,
it's free to download.
I think part of it loading
No,
screens
it
is
is
a
a
good point though. I think
Yeah.
it's like, is it that you like go to like if you have to fast travel to go to a place, it's definitely an open world. If it's like
What did you say?
sorry, if you not if you have to fast travel, like if it's if you hit like a door and you get the door and there's a cutscene and you're in a different location now, that's not very open world. Like,
I
you're
think
probably-
maybe
it's hard to
the
say.
WoW
Yeah.
Guild Wars 2 thing is not open world, but like
No, it's a
faux
series of
open
open worlds, I'd say.
It's faux open. It's like a series of
Open
small
world.
open worlds that kind of gives
if
the
Guild
sense of an
Wars-
open
if
world,
Guild
but
Wars
it's
2
not
is an
true.
Open world, nothing is.
It's not.
I-
No, it's not truly open world because it's kind of just a bunch of different areas which you get to a gate and you
Yeah.
go through the gate. You can't see into the other area, right? You go to the gate, you hit that, you load for a bit, you get into the other area, and geographically that area is supposedly next to the other one. But
Yeah.
you're not. Like, if you're in Divinity's Reach, the human place, the human, like, capital city, right, you don't leave the gate, you don't just walk seamlessly under the gates and, you know, go out into the fields around it. You hit the gates, it gives you a loading screen, you are
Yeah.
now outside.
Yeah.
Okay, no,
right?
that's fair.
Is that really open world, or is that just two levels which are supposedly
Touching. Yeah.
touching?
Banjo-Kazooie, I think, is, in that case... I still think it is an open world game, in that most of the doors don't have loading screens to them, and when they do, it's, again, mostly a hardware issue. Like,
Yeah.
And again, you'd sometimes get loading screens where you'd go somewhere for a shortcut, and the shortcut would be to avoid you walking for the same length of time.
Okay. I think I'm willing to agree that Banjo-Kazooie is an open world game, but I don't think it's.
It's not a big
I don't think
open
you
world
can just
game.
say like Assassin's Creed should be designed like
Oh, no,
Banjo
I
and
don't think it should,
Kazooie,
right? It wouldn't
right?
work,
It's
but-
like there are different
As in-
types of open world.
So
Also,
if you were to take away,
we should
yeah,
we
I'm
should
having fun.
clean up at some point, or not clean up. We're
Wrap
we're
up.
almost at 2 hours.
So I just want to say,
I-
basically, Assassin's Creed's unplayable without a minimap,
True.
and that's a flaw.
Just
No.
get a roadmap of Venice.
I
You'll
like
be
I like
fine.
doing a bit of orienteering in my games.
I like doing orienteering, but you would you could do it map only, but it would be brutal, right?
Okay, well, like, yeah,
Yeah,
you
if
can't
it was
really
like
play
a
it.
pathologic type thing where you had to like get out like a map physically every time.
Yeah.
No, I don't
And,
know. I
like,
think it's
Venice
cool to
is one of
like
the
beat a
better
map
ones.
and be like, what the fuck's over there on that
Oh,
map,
yeah,
and then
sure.
you head to it, right?
The map has to be very good for
Yeah.
that to be good, though.
Yeah, I
Assassin's
think
Creed, like,
good maps are good, bad maps.
So I'm
are
about
bad.
to say something
climbing
blasphemous.
really cool shit, and you're not looking at it. You're looking at the bottom left corner of
Uh-oh.
the map. But yeah, go on.
And
You're about to say something blasphemous, and that is.
yeah, a little bit. It's that I kind of really liked the Skyrim pathfinding, and like the kind
haven't played Skyrim.
That's fine.
That's also
it is
blasphemous.
fine. I like Skyrim's okay, dude. I like whatever. But I liked that like at just like the top of the screen, and like you could turn the whole device off if you wanted to. There would just be a little arrow that says no like map. It would just point like
The
a
direction
compass,
you're
and it
going?
would just say, "Hey man, here's kind of the direction that you're going in. Like follow it at your discretion if you wish to." Because I find mini-maps, like, quite obtrusive,
Yeah.
because they're complex designs in, like, the corner of the screen.
You have to focus on them quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and I found that to be, like, a really good sort of medium of, like, if you have trouble navigating the environment, which I frequently do, I found the lack of, like, map system at all in Morrowind to be, like, really... really unmanageable for me, and I never finished it, because I'm
Unmappable.
a fake gamer girl, TM.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, though, like...
But I found I liked that as a happy medium, and yeah, you can just choose to ignore it or
Yeah,
turn the
it's-
whole thing off.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's interesting to me because, again, to me, the Skyrim one is, again, it's an admission of, like, the world isn't... Like, you imagine trying to live there.
Oh,
You'd
yeah.
know the paths to things, but yeah, like, I don't know. Skyrim's not... And again, a lot of the spaces between
Yeah.
stuff is just sort of there.
Yeah, I don't think the map of Skyrim is very well good, but that specific, like, map finding detail, like, the actual process of, like, nudging you the place you need to go,
Yeah.
I liked it.
I think Breath of the Wild does this pretty well in terms of it does have a mini-map, but it's also, like, usually if you're going somewhere, it's a big glowing thing that you're like, I'm going to try and go there, and it's also almost always geographically interesting to go there as well. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to that big fucking mountain that's carved in half. And there'll be things in there. Like, you're told to
Yosemite.
go places, and you could turn off the mini-map and get to those places. And that's important. I don't know.
It's important to like have things in the distance that you can like
Well, it's
see.
important to have, like, level design. Like,
Big if true. I agree with you. I agree that level design is important.
like, if you were to try and give, like, directions in Skyrim to a human being trying to walk around in there, as someone, like, say you've lived there, right? You actually could.
Fun
It's
idea.
not built so that you could do that, right?
Fun idea. Skyrim VR, right? The person in VR does not have a map, and you have someone outside has.
Yeah, it's like keep talking and no one explodes.
Yeah, it's like keeping them. Somebody outside has a map, but they cannot see what the person is
Yeah.
seeing, and you need to try and like give them directions to like a town very far
Yeah.
away.
Well, like, yeah, in that, like, Breath of the Wild is like, you'll be walking around, you'll see an interesting, like, geographical feature or something, and you'll be like, I want to go check a look at that, and that's where things will be.
Yeah, a lot of
Skyrim
things in
doesn't do this
Skyrim,
very
yeah,
well.
are just kind of hidden from you. Like, they're in, like, caves and shit.
Well, because it's designed so that if you're not on the quest line to go there, you will not find it.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of bad game design.
Things in games should be interesting and not obscured from the player.
Yeah.
Yes, like
Asterisk, like, obviously, there can be, like, interesting, like, compelling narrative and, like mechanic reasons
if
to
you
do
have
that,
a cool
but-
thing, show your player the cool thing.
Like, I also just think, like, you should be able to give directions to a place that are useful verbally, right? And like have the mini map as well. Like have the marker as well. That's completely fair. But like,
or at least even just the option of like any like helpful map tool, because I can't follow directions to save my life.
I think we might need to wrap up the
that's all
podcast
good.
in a little bow and put it under the Christmas tree. What's your final thoughts?
Oh yeah, something I didn't say about my family Christmas. We don't do gifts. We just fucking don't. It's great. It's
Fair enough.
so good.
My family does like
That's my final thought.
an unfortunately gendered like mystery gift of you buy a guy present if you're a guy, or you buy a girl present if you're a girl. God forbid someone in my family comes out as non-binary. We're gonna have to redo the whole fucking present system.
Oh, so all I had were mushrooms.
Yeah, and then
makes
like
sense.
you pick one. Yeah, you get a random gift out of like the box that matches your gender. And then if you don't like it, you can like swap.
Yeah, that works all right.
It works all right.
Certainly, like,
it's not ideal, but it's like
gifts you would want by gender is a better indicator than most.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially people you don't really know.
Like,
Yeah.
as much as we can agree that, like, gender roles are not necessary, I think they are, like, broadly useful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who, like, are women or are presumed to be women by society at large would enjoy makeup or some nice moisturizer or a soap.
Certainly, if dudes were to try and purchase that for them, it wouldn't go well.
Yes.
And vice versa. Like, there's that, like, it's like, gender roles are ambiguous and, like, ill-defined and not real, but they also affect our lives deeply.
Yeah.
And
they're not inherently bad.
No.
They just kind of are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whilst they're not as critical as it is, as they're treated, they are things that affect stuff. They're a social construct that doesn't make them fake.
Yeah.
It just makes them...
Merlin, do you have a final
malleable.
thought?
I do have a final thought.
Oh, boy.
This week I've been thinking about my favorite forum post ever of all time. And it's on bodybuilding.com, I think. And the general conceit of the forum is, if I exercise every other day, how many regimens a week can I get in? And this caused 3.5 days of heated argument and the whole forum to be locked.
Jesus.
Because no one could accept that you could, even in theory, be able to exercise 0.5 times a week.
My final thought is, we had a screening before this that I had no idea what it was kind of going into it. I thought it was apparently a horror thing. And it turned out to be a musical called The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals. It's on YouTube. You can watch like 2 hours of it for free, and it's really
It's by Star Kid, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's really fucking good.
Yeah, they were the guys who did a Harry Potter musical, Jafar, the Story of a Villain, a bunch of like really hit musicals on YouTube that are free to watch.
Yeah, and on that...
Yeah, this has been John's Bit 2, the sequel to John's Bit.
Fuck you.
Yeah, this has been Podcast 2, the sequel to all podcasts.